Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What is up, DB?
How are things?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Man, I'm living. And
You're not as enthusiastic as I am this morning.
No, I'm extremely enthusiastic.
Yeah, you feeling good?
Yeah, so I
dap it up early?
I was in my feels. I like that. Racist Ravi's not in the building yet.
What'd I do?
All right, he'll be here soon. What up? No, I was in my I was in my thought bag this morning because Pat, the producer, he has the I'm Over It segment.
Oh yeah.
Man, he was talking to me this morning.
What did he have today?
So now this is on the heels of obviously just traveling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not like I heard all the jokes and stuff from the fellas about being in a commercial airport, which is fine. Now it's like Stained. It's been a while. But there were a lot of things like I wasn't super familiar with protocol.
Yeah.
Right. Had a couple folks at Westside educate me and how to kind of, navigate. And, the airport has the only Blimpies left. I'm a big Blimpies guy.
Okay.
I was a huge Blimpies guy. So I contemplated going to get a 6-inch and taking it on the plane.
Okay.
So I had to make sure like you could have food. And short story long, I didn't end up doing it because smaller plane, tight elbow space. I didn't want people necessarily like maybe they didn't want to smell my food. I was trying to be.
That's considerate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but the overhead bin thing bothers me.
Okay.
Because I think people just put their stuff wherever the heck they want to. Right? They don't really pay attention to.
That's largely true.
I'm sitting here, so I should put my stuff here. So I'm like, okay, what is bin storage protocol? Like, is there bin storage protocol? There should be bin storage protocol. Is there eating outside food on the plane protocol? And Pat, the producer, was over the fact that people bring fast food or whatever kind of food and eat it on the plane. Is that a no-no?
I'm not a great person to ask because I don't fly a lot because I don't like flying. Not because of the protocol, it's just because of the anxiety, right? Yeah. Also, they
have stuff for that.
No, I know, and that's if I have to fly, that's what I use. But it doesn't leave you feeling great.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of.
It's amazing all the people that can sleep on a plane. I'm terrified.
Oh, I sleep on a plane because the medication just puts me out.
Bro, I sat behind this lady that I think was losing a lung. I was mortified. I was pretty upset. I kept telling myself she was with her husband and he was not feeling well either. And I mean, it was the time where it was going, excuse the radio, like that's what she was doing. But she was older. So in my head, I was like, just stay cool, DB. Just stay cool. Like, I mean, maybe she has to get home. Maybe she's going home.
Yeah.
Maybe she's not choosing to fly.
Yeah. Maybe this is not recreational.
Yeah. It was so bad. My man TK happened to have like a random toque, like a snow hat. I don't know why he was rolling with a snow hat, but my man had it over his face like a mask.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I mean, it was and it's a 2-aisle 2-seat plane.
Yeah, it's
2 and 2, right? So it's not a big one.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know the protocol though.
So first
the bin thing bugs me though.
Oh, the overhead bin?
Oh yeah.
So I'm not a great person to ask again because I don't fly a lot, but it's my understanding with the overhead bins, you're supposed to try and get the stuff in as close to your seat as possible.
That'd be nice.
Like that's the general protocol. Now, if you're on a bigger flight, especially, sometimes like the room gets a little dicey and you got to just get in where you fit in.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the protocol is like, hey, put it right above your seat if at all possible.
What about the eating? What do you think?
I struggle a little bit here because
you'd eat.
Well, I definitely understand that it is probably not kosher to eat like a fried meal, like a fast food meal on a plane, because that's going to smell. There's going to be a lot going on there.
You're not breaking out Chinese and the chopsticks?
Yeah, I mean, like you should definitely not do like seafood.
But you'll eat like a wrap or...
Well, but I also am somebody that often has to eat in inconvenient places.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, but you eat like a 4-year-old. That's no big deal. Everybody eats chips, cookies, and crackers.
what about my Uncrustables?
No big deal.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Don't forget about my Uncrustables and Pop-Tarts. No. So I kind of sympathize with people that it's like, hey, we got to get a meal in here. I think ideally you would not bring fast food on a plane, but I'm not going to go to war over it.
Okay.
But if I were you,
I'll take you to war.
Like a cold sandwich to me is fair game. Like if you get a Blimpies,
yeah,
as long as it's not like a tuna salad sandwich or something, or you might get a little smell, I'm cool. Like you can make some choices to make sure that thing is like cool for everybody around. I'm not gonna get it. I'm not gonna get
exactly.
Now. I probably wouldn't bring
smell like Kung Pao.
I probably wouldn't bring Chinese food on. Definitely not bring like Indian food on. Probably would avoid like a Long John Silver's like fried fish and hush puppy situation.
I didn't even know you could get that through security, but you can.
Yeah, a lot of times, well, it depends on what airports you go through, right? Like a lot of them will have the stuff after the checkpoint, so you can kind of do your deal there. And then a lot of them, if you like buy it there and they can like look at it, they're cool.
I told you the honor system at Champaign.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, I mean, technology is a monster.
Although
man. You just put the little thing under the scanner, the light goes. It was like
a lot of businesses.
This little blue light is like boop.
A lot of businesses have stuff like that.
Yeah,
where they.
But then they had
little convenience
with
stores.
all the technology.
Yeah,
one of the refrigerators was locked with like this little lock thing,
like a padlock.
And it had the numbers you would like do the combination on like your bike.
Yeah, like your gym locker or whatever.
Like, no, not a padlock. It was.
Oh, like the rolling ones?
Yes.
Oh.
7. Make sure it's lined up on the dash. 0. I'm like, well, this is kind of archaic given the fact that this is pretty much automated.
I mean, it's a refrigerator. You probably don't have to bring out the big locks for that, you know?
Can't you eat before you get on the plane?
Sure.
I mean, I know there's layovers, all that kind of stuff. I mean, but
I don't. Yeah. I mean, just eat a sandwich before you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
That may not work for everybody. Some people are on timing issues, you know.
Yeah.
So you gotta kind of get in where you fit in.
100%.
I don't have a problem with it. I think you have to make responsible choices if you're gonna bring food on a plane. Like, be conscious of the people around you. Make better choices about what you're actually bringing on.
Conversely, I pit that against when we fly charter. That's all we do is eat.
Yeah.
On the plane.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Oh, you get food before you go up the steps.
Yeah, they like hand it to you
when you're in the. When you're getting scanned.
Yeah.
It's just interesting.
It is it's a different dynamic. But I think there's also kind of an understanding of, like, obviously the players have to eat to make sure they like stay on their schedules and everything. And so it's just, well, if the players are eating, you guys can eat too.
Yeah. See, I saw some airlines have dress codes now.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I mean, people just can't handle choice.
It's true. It got pretty casual there for a minute on airplanes.
I think offensive.
Oh, like language and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I get you.
You just tell kids, hey, don't look at me.
Yeah. Hey.
Tell Jimmy to look someplace else. I don't know why Mary's staring at my chest. She don't have to read my shirt.
You don't have to. You didn't have to teach your kid how to read. I didn't do that.
Hey, Annie, don't look.
Annie, are you okay? Like,
Annie, are you okay?
Yeah.
Who is that?
That's Michael Jackson.
Oh, I should have known that.
Yeah. Then there's a cover by Alien Ant Farm.
Okay, we're doing.
That's pretty good.
We're doing too much.
What are we doing?
We're doing way
too much.
Yeah, kind of like Providence trying to make threes.
You want to start with Providence or you want to start with Nebraska?
At what point did you think when Providence thought a jump shot it was going in? Shot. Ever?
Not really. No, not at any point. What did I think? Like, oh yeah, that's a good shot.
Were you low key offended that that the pink was resonating like Creighton and the uncharacteristic looking uniforms that had Creighton vibes?
I thought the uniforms didn't look great. Like, I didn't think their version looked that good.
Of course you did.
Well, you know, but I don't have a problem with them doing it. Like, I think Coach Matt kind of ushered that into the league. I think it's a pretty cool testament.
And that was back when his boy was there.
Yeah, that was when they first started, right? Yeah. So I think it's pretty cool testament to sort of this thing that Mac brought into the league. So I don't have a problem with them doing it. I didn't think like just the way the colors on the uniform didn't look great to me, but that's just a stylistic choice. In general, it was a little confusing because you see all the pink in the crowd and you're like, wait, oh no, they're in Providence. Like, it just kind of takes you a second.
Yeah, and the white with the pink trim, you immediately thought, wait, Creighton's on the road.
Hold on a second.
That's something Creighton would do.
I think they already wore those this year.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that they're embracing the cause, though.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I wish they would embrace playing better basketball, just as somebody who wants the conference to be okay.
You don't even ride with Providence. Why do you care?
Because I want the conference to be better. I need some of these teams to hold up their end of the
That's
deal.
not happening anytime soon.
No, you've got 4 teams you feel okay about?
I guess.
Yeah.
You're adding Xavier.
No. I was at UConn.
So UConn, Creighton, Marquette, and
St. John's.
St. John's?
Yeah.
Hard to watch some of those teams play, though.
100%. That Marquette St. John's game was about as bad of a top 12 matchup as you'll ever see.
I think there were only 40. I think there were only 42 fouls in that game. I think it was 24 and 18. It seemed like way more than that.
They chilled in the second half. The first half was aggressive.
Yeah.
In terms of the call.
I did not enjoy watching it.
No, it was a rock fight. It was not a smoothly played or officiated basketball game. Not enjoyable at all. Like about as bad of a decently close top 12 matchup.
Well, and they let him play last night too.
Yeah, they did. And
I mean, just ask Calk.
I was like, ask Kalkbrenner, ask Ashworth too. We got a PO'd from Ashworth in the pros game.
Yeah, that caught me. That was a little strange for me.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's kind of easygoing, but he does strike me as kind of an ankle biter, though.
Yeah. Well,
like
especially this year.
I thought about it, and I was like, nah, that's him.
Especially this year, he's been pretty feisty.
He's probably a little elbow in the hip guy, or
100%.
Clutch and grab.
I mean, let's not pretend like he doesn't flop a little bit too.
Oh yeah. I every time he does that too, I'm like, ooh, taking minutes off your life. Stop hitting the ground.
Gotta stop hitting the ground.
Stop hitting the ground.
No, Kalkbrenner was incredible last night. He
incredible? You giving him incredible?
35 and 12.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, this.
Oh man, caught a lot of dunks.
Pretty good.
A lot of dunks.
Hey, he's got to outrun everybody on Providence to get there.
Wait, did you like your man D. Marsh condoning fouling on the three?
No,
because he had stepped out and hit one earlier. I was like, I don't care if it was Dalton Connect at Tennessee. Don't foul a 3-point shooter.
I mean, the fouling Kalkbrenner on a 3.
By the way, deuces, Dalton. We'll holler at you, boy.
How you feel about Mark Williams? That's a good pickup.
It is a good pickup.
That's a nice pickup.
Yeah, I told you they still have pieces to move.
I do think it's hilarious that
why you would take Cam Reddish, I have no idea, but
I still think it's hilarious that the Hornets were able to get a pick swap out of the Lakers for Mark Williams in addition to a first, and that Dallas wasn't. That's hilarious. For Luka freaking Doncic. They couldn't even get a pick swap.
Oh,
like Nico.
That one's going to leave a mark.
Nico continues to catch strays forever. Just by every other trade package that goes out the door. We were like,
do I need a Nico head?
I think we do. We need a Nico head just so we can shoot darts at it.
And reference bad deals.
Yeah,
because he can be the bad deal.
Yeah, he's the opposite of Kevin on Shark Tank.
I don't watch that show.
Mr. Wonderful, the bald guy.
I don't watch that show.
All right, he's the anti-Cuban. We can call him that.
Well, is he? Is
Mark,
he the guy that's hard?
Fidel. What?
Bay of Pigs. What? Wait. Okay.
Rewind.
Why did you bring that guy up? What's he do on Shark Tank? What's
he makes the deals?
Oh,
so he's the anti-Nico.
Okay.
Because he usually makes good deals, or allegedly. I don't know.
Deals that are beneficial.
For somebody
to be profitable.
Anybody.
Okay.
Although I guess this deal's pretty good for the Lakers, so maybe he is.
So today we went with, what do these two people have in common?
That's Jess.
Yes.
We got John Cook.
Yes.
They both have a C in their initials.
And
Cootie and Cook.
You skip the obvious. They have J's too. Why'd you go to the last name before the first?
Because I'm dumb.
Oh yeah.
They're both JC.
Both JCs. And Jess has shouldered the load, having to do so much of
Sports Nightly.
Yep. And John Cook, we think, has pretty big shoulders too. Broad. Carrying.
It's a little bit of a stretch for me.
It is?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, man.
It would have made more sense.
Big analogy guy?
It would have made more sense if it was DBK, because she's taking on a big like a big part of the load there. You know what I mean?
That's like what's my actor's name? Awosu Amawanahunahuna, the African young man that played in Gladiator. And he looked at Maximus and he said, "Not yet, my friend."
Jamon Husu.
Nwosu?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
Are you not entertained?
Not yet, my friend.
Not yet.
Not for DBK. Not yet, my friend.
Well, I'm just saying she's going to have to take
Eventually,
on a big burden.
Yeah.
Same way
Burden.
Jess is.
You call that? Is that a burden?
It's a weight to take on
It's a fantastic opportunity.
It is, but sometimes opportunities have a little weight to them.
Weighty. It's a weighty opportunity.
Yeah.
Weighty.
Listen, not weighty doesn't always have to be negative. It's just
No, I understand.
that could be heavy.
Daunting. Does daunting imply negative
I
connotation?
think daunting does, although heavy tends to as well. But it is daunting. Like there's a big task ahead of her.
What is the whole crown and head thing? It's not a heavy head.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some obligations there. There's some stress.
You make me laugh.
What?
But it's my fault for throwing you the curveball.
It's also true.
Right? Like this is a curveball.
A little bit. It's a little bit of a curve.
Most every day, the whatever we're calling these,
The heads
will have a theme. So this is kind of
the carrying the burden
theme today.
Okay.
Oh, no look pass. Griesel to Casey.
Casey.
Yes, that Shane.
That's Jess. That's not John Cook.
By
Love
the
that.
way, but before we get back into Creighton and Providence, did you get here safely?
I did, yeah.
Shane, did you get? You're here, but
I think it's
did you have any problems?
Fair to make that assumption since
There was no problems once I got out of my, out of the building that I live.
Oh yeah, was it tough sledding?
Yeah, a little tough sledding.
All right, so I have one more protocol thing.
Okay.
Okay, you have neighbors. Shane, you're out on this. How do you feel about parking on the street in your neighborhood?
I don't love it.
Okay.
I'm not a fan.
We only have one neighbor that does it, and they have 2 cars that do it. And one is directly at the end of our driveway, which is sloped.
Yeah, so it's a little tricky coming out like an icy day.
Any day.
Yeah.
I think it lacks a tremendous amount of self-awareness.
Yeah. To be right. I mean, because you're not supposed to park right across from people's driveways at all if you can help it.
Yeah.
If I'm going.
So is that a thing? Because
Yes,
I don't. That's
yes.
what I'm basically.
So yes,
Okay.
it is. That's what I was taught at least was
So
don't park across.
They're very nice.
Yeah.
Like we let them use their driveway when they had their wedding reception. And
Mhm.
Like, hey, if you have overflow, use our
Send them on
driveway,
over.
because nobody's at our house. So it's cool.
Yeah.
And 2 of them work early, like 4:30 early.
Ooh, okay.
4 or 4:30.
Yeah.
And they both work at the same place. But there's younger people in there,
Mhm.
and it's very, very off-putting.
So do they have so many cars that they can't fit them all in their driveway, or do they
So
just
we're talking
choose to
four-
park on
four-
the street?
No, the driveway is wide, like Musburger, wide open.
So that's crappy.
But the two adults leave early, so maybe they don't want to park behind them.
So you got to switch the order of the cars then. Whoever leaves earliest needs to park in the back. But if the driveway is open,
The married folks run the show. I think they're getting the garage.
so the married folks are the older folks and they don't leave early.
They do leave early.
I'm just saying, if you can't just be parking on the street if you've got a wide open driveway.
It's Musburger.
That's kind of messed up.
Okay.
Now, if you got a small driveway, you got like a single
It's a big driveway.
file driveway, and you're like, hey, I've got a car in the garage, I got a car in the driveway. I have to put one in.
I would actually make the case it's one of the bigger driveways on the street.
Yeah, you gotta make better choices. That's pretty inconsiderate.
Do you knock? Like, what's that conversation look like?
I would maybe. Today's a good opportunity.
Who you, Ice Cube?
Today is a good day.
Oh, see, there's the dialect again.
That's how he sings. What do you want me to do? I could do Elvis too. He's gonna sound a certain way. I'm all shook up. Like that's Elvis.
This is on the heels of you
what?
pretending to be me if I said a cuss word off air, and you completely went into dialect.
I was doing a Bernie Mac bit. What am I supposed to do? If I did Larry the Cable Guy, I'd do his voice too. What do you want me to do? Did he do it? I don't have a great Larry the Cable Guy, but Tomater.
Hey, so do I? You just how does that? What is that conversation?
So today's a great opportunity because it is slick out, and you can use it as just like, hey, I was concerned about your car. So you go, hey, I probably knock, unless you're a note leaver. You don't seem like a note leaver.
No,
because that seems a little passive aggressive. Leaving a note, it does. You can't like it. It seems passive aggressive.
Yeah.
So I just kind of knock, or maybe you.
In my former life, I used to have stickies on standby for bad park jobs.
Yeah, that seems like you.
Yeah, I did.
That's pretty passive aggressive.
Not anymore though.
So, or the best way to do it depends on how urgent this is for you.
Yeah.
Is to like sort of eyeball and wait.
Well, it always aggravates me. I don't want cars in front of the house.
So eyeball and wait for one of them to come outside.
Oh, jeez.
And then it just happen to be outside. You know what I'm saying? I'll just be like, hey, how you doing? You know their names? Okay, cool. Just be like, hey, neighbor, how you doing? Hey, I was wondering real quick. It was pretty slick the other day, and I was a little afraid I was going to hit your car coming out of the driveway, and I would hate to do that to you. That's a bad way to start your day. Is there any way you can maybe park a little bit further down so it's just not right across?
I hear you.
I think that's the way to approach it.
Okay.
Hopefully they listen to the show so you don't even have to have this conversation.
No, he's working. He's like,
Well,
I'm telling you, they leave at 4.
You realize most of the people that listen to our show are working?
Yeah, but I mean, he doesn't have maybe he could like.
Got the earbuds or something?
Maybe.
I'm just saying. We're available all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty easy to find us.
Soon to be even better.
About to be even easier. That's DB. I'm Ravi. We'll set up the show coming up next.
We got to get back to incredible.
We will get to
Bryce or Kalk.
My guy Ryan Kalk. They both can be.
Oh.
Everybody can be incredible.
How about Nebraska's poise?
Incredible edible. I couldn't believe, it looked like they were about to get run. Like DMC. We will get back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio, here on the Pillar Exterior stage. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla reminding you, listen, guys, I know we were just talking about parking, but the roads are a little slick out there, too. Keep those eyes focused and straight ahead when you're driving to work this morning, or when you're backing out of your driveway. Maybe somebody's parked at the end of it like it's not real nice to be. Keep your eyes focused and straight ahead. That's your job as a driver, is to drive. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Hot danger. Listen real quick, bud.
Hot danger's just going in this morning.
Just real quick. I get what you're saying. I'm not saying it's illegal for them to park there. I'm saying it's a common.
Wait, I got to get in the comments.
I'm saying it's a common courtesy.
Where's the comments?
He's the most recent ones. It was right at the end of that segment.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's a common courtesy.
Well, he doesn't like anything we said this morning. My man is going in.
I know. He's like, I'll eat whatever I want on a plane. Cool. He's probably the guy that takes his shoes and socks off on a plane, too.
Hot danger for chicken tikka masala.
Are you here for, you seen, the barefoot people on planes?
Yes.
I'm not. That also seems like a thing you can get away with on a charter that you can't on a public plane.
Nobody does that.
I'm just saying, if it happened on a charter, I'd be less surprised.
And plus, it's not dudes normally. It's women.
Oh, I've always seen it be dudes.
Oh, I've never.
Yeah. There's some, barefoot dudes on a plane is... I get it's not illegal, hot danger. It's also not cool.
Maybe my man he should be happy too. The Lakers got Mark Williams.
He's probably the dude that microwaves fish at work.
No. He's hilarious.
Those are the vibes I'm getting right now. It's you do what you want.
No, he's a big guy too. I'm sure.
I'm not saying I'm trying to fight him. I'm just
I'm not. So what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to?
He's not mean. I'm just saying, I'm sure he likes his space.
So what is your neighbor supposed to do? Expand their driveway?
Who, me?
No, just park on the street, not directly across the street from the driveway.
But isn't everywhere always directly across from a driveway?
You know, there's these things called yards, right, Shane?
There is.
It's not just driveway,
There is.
driveway.
I don't even know if I should have brought this. I was curious on protocol.
I think it's a common courtesy to not park directly across the street from someone's driveway.
These notes are hilarious.
If it can at all be helped, you try not to park directly across the street from.
I'm literally. I'll show you. It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. Probably a tough corner.
Very, very tough to navigate.
I'm just saying, I would maybe just be like,
What did he say?
Hot Danger says,
Eat whatever you want on a plane as long as it doesn't
have
smell.
a strong smell.
I might just go to the airport and eat Lumpies.
Hot
Hey,
Danger says, I'm a Timberwolves fan. You don't know who I am, DB.
Oh, so that's not my Hot Danger? It's a different Hot Danger?
I don't know. There's so many.
For some reason, I thought it was Out of Breath Brian.
Oh, no. Out of Breath Brian on the chat, too.
Oh, man. Dang, Hot Danger's a T-Wolves fan?
Yeah.
I didn't know they had those outside of Minnesota. Maybe he's in
Yeah, our
Minnesota.
guy Brandon from The Office is a T-Wolves fan, too.
I have seen his hat.
Yeah.
So he has the cool logo, too.
He's got the old school one?
With the looks like it's howling.
Yeah, the wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a closet T-Wolves fan.
I liked Garnett when he was with the Wolves.
I still love Kevin Garnett.
I was a big
Did you hear Kevin Garnett go off on his pod about, he said how these a lot of expletives, because it's Kevin Garnett.
I'm stunned by this.
Are ruining what they've done at the collective bargaining table by making their money and not playing. Oh, he went all in. He's one of those, he's a total get off my lawn guy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he did help pave the way.
I also feel like it's not unreasonable to ask guys to play.
No, it's not. Not at all.
When you're paid, I mean, literally, Luka was in line for a $70 million a year extension. 70.
Yeah. No,
Jimmy Butler just got 60 per on his extension for the Warriors.
Yeah.
Like,
He made some real salient points.
I think it's reasonable to be like, hey, everybody else has to show up for work for however many $1,000 a year. Like, you could probably show up too for your $70 million.
Yes, Matt, I am. He said Big Wally Zerbiak guy. When we picked our All-Star team,
Miami of Ohio, GOAT.
with my buddy Brian.
Yeah.
He's the same guy I played NHL hockey with. We pick All-Star teams. I always took KG and Wally.
I was a big Wally Zerbiak. I liked. I kind of liked that whole team they put together when you had KG and Sam Cassell.
Yeah.
You had the Latrell Sprewell. I even liked Terrell Brandon a little bit. No. Who was your Eton Thomas?
No, Irvin Johnson.
Oh,
Big.
The big.
Yeah.
He played for Milwaukee too for a minute, didn't he? Yeah.
So you like what they did with Kuz?
I don't know. I don't know.
I do. Middleton didn't play enough.
No, I agree. I don't love Kuz.
Now you have another role for Portis. That'd be all right.
I don't love Kyle Kuzma, but I wasn't. I wasn't a big. I didn't have a big problem.
Man, Matt might be a hoops head. That's a good pull.
Wally Zerbiak.
That and Brandon with the Cavs.
Oh yeah. He did play for the Wolves, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good pull.
Him and Anthony Peeler.
Not a Peeler guy.
I'm not either. He also because he was a Laker too.
Well, I'm not a Peeler guy because what he did at the Devaney.
Oh, I don't recall.
Oh.
You're gonna have to give me a history lesson.
He did it to my nephew's dad too.
What'd he do?
He dropped 40 some odd in that building.
Oh, jeez.
In front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not. I was not a Missouri guy at all.
Yeah.
Missouri always struck me as one of those teams that should have been better, but they actually were pretty good.
Yeah. I liked some of those teams. You had
I did.
You had the Rushes. I liked Kareem Rush a lot.
Yeah.
I know Brandon ended up having a better NBA career, but I was a big Kareem Rush guy. There was another dude sort of in that era that I really liked.
Yeah, I'm not.
But I kind of liked, and I liked young Quinn Snyder.
Oh, why?
I don't know. I just liked.
He had a thing for hair?
No, I just liked. I thought his teams played well. I liked him. I also thought he got a raw deal when he got fired.
Some of that was. I'm kind of with you. It was premature, but I think the back channels.
I don't think he was liked well behind the scenes.
Yeah, not doing the right.
So they were like looking for a reason.
Yeah.
So I get that, but
big young Quinn Snyder guy, huh?
Kobe says Ravi, you don't like Kuz because he was having to be a top option. No, I understand that. Kuz is an okay role player. I understand that the Wizards don't count as like anything.
Are we gonna act like people don't just have these signs on?
I'm surprised I never got one of those.
These are, and she says she has a ton of them.
Yeah,
a whole stack. I'm not surprised though. I'm not.
For who that is, it's very on brand.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's 100% on brand. You know what was not on brand? I don't think.
What?
Was kind of the poise Nebraska showed last night after getting blitzed early.
It was incredible.
Because we've seen that happen in Nebraska a lot, and they never win that game.
Yeah. And you know what was really interesting?
What's that?
Even we talked about shot selection. Mm-hmm. Even they're down 14, and everything Washington is shooting is going in, and they never got out of character offensively.
Yeah. it's really easy to panic there and start taking bad shots.
Yeah.
They kind of just stuck with it, which I was really impressed by.
So I thought a low-key critical spot
Where?
was the and one from Hoiberg. That
Yeah.
It stemmed the tie. It only cut it to like 11.
Yeah,
But
it was just
kept
enough.
it from being 17.
Yeah, and they had a couple of those. I think Gary had one, an and one.
Yeah.
Where it was sort of a similar deal. It went from like 14 to 11 or 12 to 9 or something, and it just kept it within arm's
Morgan
reach.
hit the tough footwork shot when he went back over his right shoulder, and I was like, "Oh, these guys are not going to go away."
They made enough plays to keep it within arm's length for long enough for Washington to remember that they're Washington.
Yeah.
And come back to earth with their shooting, because they started 7 for 7,
8 of 8.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like that's some Creighton versus Villanova a decade ago stuff.
So at that point, they had made 15 of their last 23 threes
over the 2 games.
Game and a half.
Oh, yeah, right.
So
second half of
because heading into that one, they had been 9 of 45.
Yeah, they're not like a good shooting team.
And some of those shots were incredible.
In general, they're not a good shooting team.
I was like, and then you felt like Osibor, he just was a guy that anytime Mia was in the game, he was gonna go at him. You could tell they had it in their head. This guy can't play.
That Mia was meat.
He left us.
Yeah,
we're going at him.
So you
just had to stop playing him.
220th in the country in 3-point field goal percentage for Washington. That's bad.
And you were thinking, oh man, here we go again.
Yeah, it was like you're like at some point these guys are gonna miss, right? This is a bad shooting team. At some point, that's going to reveal itself, and it did. And I don't remember what did they finish last night from 3.
Well, I know they missed.
It's 10 for 25.
Yeah.
So they went 2 for their next 17.
Yeah.
Which is about right. 10 for 25 is still actually really high for them, but the way it started,
higher, yeah.
I mean that's a really good number for Washington. But the way it started versus the way it ended. Like that feels very different.
How quickly they returned to the mean.
Yeah, that feels very. I mean, they only made 2 3-pointers after the first 7 minutes of the game.
I'm just kind of, and I almost was gonna have to, I don't know, get on the spin cycle to keep you off the agitated cycle.
What'd I do?
Well, defending Hoiberg.
Oh yeah,
they had to come in and win that game.
They had to. That was a must win.
My bending bites, our call from Sjuts.
Yeah,
I was like, I agree, man. Like the referendums every time out for Hoiberg, I'm over it.
I'm not talking about referendums for Hoiberg. I'm saying for this season, you can't drop any of these.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to make the NCAA double tournament this year,
that's 3 in a row.
There's no Yeah, that's called a win streak. It has happened before.
All right, Lou.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, more Hurrdat Sports Radio. Wrapping up hour number 1 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. DB still trying to figure out his parking situation.
So most of my guys, and well, certainly not a gal, but most are riding with me.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a couple hot dangers out there.
There always is. There's always a couple hot dangers out there.
Nah, he's cool.
No, I don't have a problem with him. He's a little spicy.
This whole time, I thought that was B.
No, yeah. Brian's on. Has his name.
Is he fickle or out of breath?
Out of breath, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, he chimes in sometimes.
No, I believe me. I know he's usually mad at you.
Yeah. That's why I know if he's riding with me. I was like, it actually.
You asked him day before yesterday on the call. You ride with me, bro? He said, "No, I'm not riding with you."
No.
Which is funny because the call before that.
Yeah.
He was not happy with me.
Yeah, I thought he was going to roast.
I'm surprised he hasn't called back to get on me about Mick Cronin.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah, you can have him.
Magic Mick Cronin.
You can have him.
Yeah.
See, more what?
Amazing, Daniel.
No, don't read it because I haven't yet. Is he out of pocket again? It's too early for this, Daniel.
It's funny.
But he's EST though, so he's an hour.
Yeah, he's 8:45 out there.
He's been up for a minute.
What'd
he say?
He goes, haven't heard anything super problematic yet this morning. Do I have the right show?
Well, we had to recover from yesterday. I was and I'm glad Robbie asked about Shane. I was terrified for Shane because you were truly mad.
Yes, I was.
And Shane normally, because I have other stuff to record after this. Normally he sticks around for a little bit and he says, "Hey, Do you mind if I go? I'm gonna go vape. I'll be back. We'll get started.
A couple minutes. Yeah.
I'll be back in a couple. My dude couldn't get out of here fast enough, and he stayed out there for like 10 minutes.
That's all.
I was like, "Aw."
That was the longest vape of his life, I think.
Shane, we're good though, right? You and me are always good. I don't know about this guy. We good?
We're riding together.
Yeah. You laughed at some of his terrible racist jokes.
That wasn't being racist.
Cabbage and collard greens was racist.
No, I was asking about cultural differences.
Wait, was that on air or off?
That was on air.
I felt I had to laugh.
I didn't want to roll you, sorry. Because you said worse.
I felt I had to laugh after all that.
No, it wasn't that funny.
I know.
That was pretty funny.
Oh, was
It
it?
was pretty funny. It wasn't the funniest thing I said yesterday, but
Certainly not the most inappropriate.
I think you brought that on air too.
The other one?
I think so.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
No.
Amazing Daniel did hear my song, though.
Your fight song?
I thought my voice tapered off, but clearly it did not. My mind's telling me no. Oh, here we go.
Do you feel like that held up the way you wanted it to?
No.
Okay.
When I sung it, it sounded better than on the playback.
You know, like you sound different in your head than you sound to everyone else.
Dude, that's the story of my life. That's why I talk to myself.
Story of my life.
Is that what you sing every time when you
Dude,
come?
Huh? You good? Yeah. I feel like you almost had joke Tourette's there.
Is that what you sing?
for sure would have been canceled.
Is that what you sing every time when you come out of the garage when you see that car there?
My mind's telling me no. I came out of my driveway at about 3 miles
I was
an hour.
like half a mile an hour,
Maybe.
like you're on a bike.
Yeah, but I salted it.
You gotta be careful.
Now I got to go sweep the salt off because I don't want to eat.
You gotta
at
be
the
careful
concrete.
here.
Knock it off.
Do
Knock it off.
what I do.
Nothing. Yeah, I know. I know who I'm going. That's just. I should put that on a T-shirt because
What?
that's what I want to say to you and Shane most of the
What?
time. Shane,
Yeah,
put
whatever.
that. ...
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I figured you'd put this on a T-shirt.
Let's go, baby.
Coming up on the show today at 8 o'clock, we've got Cynthia Freuland from the NFL Network. We'll preview the Super Bowl. Excited to talk to Cynthia. Appreciate her joining us on Super Bowl week.
Sure you don't want to get back to Bryce versus Kalk?
Brian Edwards, we got 8:45, our Vegas Insider. And at 9 o'clock, we've got Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7. We can talk about Bryce versus Kalk. They both played great last night.
They did. Clutch, too.
Yeah.
Clutch. I like
Like, aside from Kalkbrenner hilariously getting fouled on a three-pointer, he also played really well.
Yeah. And so guys that had watched practice early, I think I heard it maybe was young Jacob. It might have been Matty D.
Mhm.
This is before the season started. And they were talking about how spirited and loud and take charge Ryan had been in practice.
Mhm.
And kind of how this was.
Which is
You
a
could-
little out of character.
Yeah,
from
because
what we
you
knew
could
of
tell
him.
playing with Trey and Baylor. And I mean, he
didn't have to be.
He didn't. But how he's kind of turned into that guy. The anger and some of the fire he plays with now is pretty sweet.
It's also
Because they kind of needed it in crunch time when they couldn't shake Providence for the first 35 minutes.
yeah, which was bizarre because that thing was just a slugfest until the under 8 timeout, and then Creighton's like, "All right, we're done here.
5:55.
Yeah, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna get in and out."
Under 6 in big trouble.
Yeah, and I do like that, and it's pretty unusual. You don't see a lot of guys that have been, I don't know a better word for this, but kind of docile throughout their careers. Not super fiery guys.
Docile. That's interesting.
You don't usually see those guys have the ability to then turn into a fiery guy.
Yeah.
And have it not feel super fake and forced and Russell Wilson-esque. Like, that's
Why is Russ just catching strays?
because he seems super fake.
Jeez.
He's the fakest guy I could think of in sports.
What happened?
I have better examples outside of sports, but they're people that actually have my phone number and could text me about it. So I use Russell Wilson because he doesn't know me.
Russell Wilson's gotta go.
Yes, he does.
So
May not though.
it's weird to see a guy kind of change his nature over an off season, or at least reveal part of his nature we didn't know was there.
I mean, it's clearly though a conference in which is known for being rugged.
Oh, for sure.
And he's adjusted.
He has. That's especially when early in his career, that's not something I would have guessed he was capable of.
You hear those guys talking about he was out there playing like he was in a 6 foot and under league.
Just rim running on people.
Yeah, and do you want to go
Even
back?
Fred King got one.
Do you want to go back to the questions that I asked Sjuts that I morphed into a Blue Jay question too about offensive rebounding, shooting, and turning the ball over?
You gave me a couple different options for Creighton, but
I think we settled on 3-point shooting, offensive rebounding, and turnovers.
oh, yeah. The other, it was different for Nebraska. And I said
Nebraska was
defending the three,
defending the three, shot selection, and turnovers.
Yeah. So for Creighton, what I end up with 3-point shooting, right?
Yeah.
When that team shoots the ball high 30s, they almost never lose. Right? And we saw that last night when they struggled.
Isn't it weird because their best players, their post presence?
Yeah. But they started, 2 for 17 from 3?
Yeah. T. Maurice is going to lose his mind.
Yeah. They were just hoisting.
He's like, I'm not looking at the stats to see how abysmal this offense is.
And they ended up 6 for 14. They started 2 for 17. And then
it wasn't great.
No, but 6 for 14 is a very respectable number on the way out. They still only shoot 25% for the game.
Yeah.
If they shoot 35 to 38% in a game, it's over.
It was his pips though or his points in the paint, presence
100%.
in the paint that was.
Well, that's the reason
Providence had no answer.
That's the reason all those threes were open, was because they were trying everything they could to keep Kalkbrenner from just dunking on their heads every single possession,
Yeah.
And that's going to leave a lot of things open. Unfortunately, not everybody was knocking shots down last night, but. I mean, you look at Jackson McAndrew hit too early, misses.
Well, when he hit the first one, I was like, "Ooh, we may be in business for old J Mac."
And then he hit the second one. I was like, "Okay, here we go." And then he cooled off, right? But that kept Creighton in it early. Jason Green hit a big one to kind of keep Creighton where they needed to be in the second half. My guy Zugic needs to knock down some shots. I was happy with his minutes though. I thought, I know this is going to sound like I'm just being a homer, which is fine. I thought he played good minutes. That's the most he's played. He played 22 minutes.
Because his misses led to offensive rebounds?
No, it has nothing to do with that. I thought he did a good job being a release valve on offense. Mm-hmm. He was creating some things. He didn't finish, right? So that's obviously you got to make that next step. But there was just another guy that Providence had to pay attention to. And honestly, and I think this is why he played so much more than he had been. I don't know if you saw there was 2 possessions in a row early where Mason Miller was targeted on defense.
Yeah.
They drove right at him.
And after he missed the first 3 bad, you're like, "Ooh, boy, I don't know if Mason's going to be able to stay out here."
Right. And then he didn't. Zugic came in, and I thought Zugic actually held up really well at the point of attack defensively. He would cut guys off. They'd get in the lane. Most of the time, they end up kicking back out.
Well, it helps when you can play underneath every ball screen.
Yeah, it does. But so can Mason, right? The same was true in both those situations.
But the different, and you can do some different things with Zugic, I think, because he can chase.
Yes. Yeah. It gives you some more options.
Yeah.
But I thought he played good minutes. Obviously, he didn't score, but I thought he played good minutes, and I'm not too worried about the offense long term. Nebraska, we talked about their resolve because I was stunned by the way they were able to overcome that start. But then Bryce Williams,
he's going to get a lot of the headlines, and rightfully so, because he kind of turned on the killer mode. Mm-hmm. The guy that kept their head above water was Essegian.
Yes,
in my opinion.
He hit some threes.
Man.
The first couple threes kept them from getting
a couple
super
of
far
tough,
detached.
The left wing off the dribble for a right-hander.
Yeah, that's hard.
That seems like a tough shot.
That's really hard.
He stroked that bad boy, and I was like, okay, Connor.
He did a really good job of keeping them attached early.
So I would like to kind of spend a couple of days around him. Mm-hmm. He seems like a guy that's a lot cooler than we give him credit for.
In what sense? Just cool to be around?
Yeah, he has his game, his
little swag to him.
Yeah, you watch him dress. He's got a little drip. He seems like we may have him not pegged correctly.
I'll be honest. I haven't really thought of
watch his body language in the huddle and stuff.
It's kind of funny. I just haven't thought of him outside of the basketball court at all.
I'm telling you.
But that's something.
He has some. He has some confidence.
We might have to take a look at that. Coming up next, Cynthia Freuland to talk about the Super Bowl here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're joined now by Cynthia Freuland of the NFL Network. Cynthia, how are you this morning?
I'm great, thank you. Happy Super Bowl. How are you?
We're good. How about, so are you fully acclimated? It seemed kind of like a sleepy last week, but now that we're here, even though a lot of people predicted this, are you manufacturing excitement or is it real?
It's always real. The Super Bowl is so much fun. Radio Row, the energy is palpable. People are just like, obviously more fans come as it gets closer to the weekend. So it's even more fun once you start to see. I mean, Eagles fans, they're last time that they won the Super Bowl was when it was very cold and they were outside in Minnesota with their shirts off. So Chiefs fans do know how to act like they've been here before. Eagles fans, they still they still bring the heat. So I expect lots of funny things from them on Bourbon Street.
Yeah, that's kind of my first question, and describing the fan bases is perfect, right? The Chiefs do expect to be here, and while I won't say like there's a sense of entitlement, there's definitely a sense of expectation levels. The Eagles are mad and fired up about everything, right? They want people to know that there's an opponent actually in this game. I made the case after the Chiefs won. I said, hey, I can appreciate excellence. I love execution. They're very good in crunch time. They're almost too good. For me, though, they just aren't compelling. Would you buy that as a deal just because I'm so they're way good and way efficient, so they're almost like, yeah, that's just kind of what they do. Like, is there a threshold?
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I think both teams are playing the best football right now, so we're getting a really good game, and nothing's boring about it to me because I'd rather see an excellent game as opposed to something where it's like, I'm a Lions fan, right? If the Lions would have limped to the end with how many injuries they had, you would have been like, oh God, and been like, this doesn't feel like a fair fight. Whereas if Washington was there, it would have been like, oh, this upside. And then, on the other side, the Bills would have made it. Like, there's great storylines abound, but let's be fair, these are the two best teams. So I don't know. I just feel like it's always great to see the two best teams at the end.
So Cynthia, as you're looking at this matchup, right, I've heard varying different kind of opinions on who should be favored here from a bunch of different people. I think it's really easy to look at the Eagles and say, man, they might be playing the best of anybody right now. And then you look at the other side and you go, do I really want to bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid? Like, how do you kind of weigh who's playing the best versus who's got the pedigree of being here? And just like, I almost put Mahomes in Brady mode where I'm just I never feel good betting against that guy in a playoff game.
I mean, are we really calling it Brady mode anymore? Because I think
his own thing.
If he gets this win,
yeah,
that's right. Like, it's Mahomes mode now, But ultimately, I think it's a very interesting matchup because it does feel a little 50-50, right? If you ask me unit by unit to name who has the better team other than tight end and quarterback, I would give the edge to the Eagles in pretty much every category. Maybe the defensive lines are about equal, but every other category, and especially offensive line, I would give the edge to the Eagles. However, there's something about the postseason and the fact that, Patrick Mahomes with his legs in the postseason feels like this unquantifiable thing, right? So, I mean, it is though about as close as they come to me in terms of, I love that it's like it's 1.5 points in Vegas, but it feels like it's anyone's game. It feels 50-50 for me.
Let me flip over to Jalen Hurts for a second on the heels of that, Cynthia. Does he need a Super Bowl win to be called a winner? Because he wins a ton. He's won every place he's been, yet he still is like the ... but guy. He appears to me to be a winner.
Well, that's because, look, he's in Philadelphia. Eagles fans, I was, making this joke yesterday. I have a lot of friends who are Eagles fans, and I'm like, listen, you guys could win the Super Bowl and be like, hey, we only won by 3 points. We could have won by at least 6. Like, something will always be wrong with Eagles fans. Like, they're never happy. They're never going to be satisfied. So part of it is a function of where he plays. Like, again, I'll go back. I'll do the analogy of Detroit, right? That's where I'm from, and Jared Goff is very much considered a winner in Detroit terms, and it's all about whether the expectations relative to the performance. And the expectations for the Lions were very low, and Jared Goff completely exceeded them. Whereas Eagles fans, they think, 2032, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to blah, 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 blah. You know, like they always think they're going to win the Super Bowl. So the expectations are much higher. And if he doesn't win one, then they're always going to claim that, because that's the way that fan base operates. They like to be a little angry.
I do want to stay on Jalen Hurts for a second here, because I was listening to somebody this morning, and they were weirdly talking about the Hall of Fame resume of Eli Manning, right? And how much it mattered that his 2 Super Bowls came over Brady. How much does that matter? And Burrow, we see it get a ton of credit for being one of the guys that's beat Mahomes in the playoffs. Like, how much does that matter when we're talking about Jalen Hurts, as opposed to if he had beaten if Josh Allen were to
Steve
get
Young hadn't beat Stan Humphries, Steve Young would get his due because he was a GOAT.
Yeah, like if it's Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson instead of Mahomes, if the Eagles get this thing done, like how much do you think that matters in the way we'll talk about Jalen?
I mean, to me, it doesn't matter at all, because they don't play each other, right? It's not like if you're telling me Jalen Carter sacked Patrick Mahomes 6 times, then I'm like, well, the darn Jalen Carter's really good, right? But like, if you're like, they play each other's defenses. So that one's always a hard one for me, because, you know, it's not like Eli Manning did like some one-on-one competition. Like it's just not, it's a hard one for me, because I don't see how they play each other's defenses. They don't play each other. So it's not basketball. It's not, I don't know. It's not one-on-one in any capacity there. But I think it always cements your legacy if you beat a team that's really good. And if you beat a team like Jalen Hurts, if the Eagles win, then he could say, I beat a team that was chasing history, going to be the first team in the modern Super Bowl era to three-peat. You know, that's a huge feather in the cap, right? Like that's the one, not, you know, oh, it's Patrick Mahomes. But, you know, obviously Patrick Mahomes is the reason that they got there, et cetera.
You know, I think, and I get it, it's star-studded with a litany of really, really good players. And we get to this stage, it's the Super Bowl, right? That's a thing. But I go back to some of these drafts that weren't that long. Shoot, with the Eagles, you could just look at 2024, right? You know, Quinyon Mitchell plays, DeJean plays, you know, Trotter Jr. plays, Johnny Wilson plays. Like, these guys drafted well. You look at the Chiefs 2022 draft, and, I mean, outside of Sky Moore, I mean, the thing is going to be star-studded. How much do we forget that the front office and acquisition has played such a huge role when we start out conversations by talking about like Mahomes and Hurts, right? Like the organizations are rock solid.
Well, and also, I mean, let's give credit where credit's due. They also drafted those quarterbacks. It's not like they're free agents that came over in some blockbuster trade too. I think a lot of really great opportunities to grow and to get those few free agents that aren't necessarily, you know, the football's made through the middle of the like roster. You know, 1 is great. 53 we know is not maybe the best player on the team, but it's like, you know, what's going on in 20 through 40, right? Like what's the middle doing? And that messy middle is really good by both teams. You know, the Zach Bond is a really good example of this. You know, switching him over and having him play a different position this year completely changed his ability to affect football games. So it's not just how great they are at drafting. It's also how great they are at having a vision for how and both sides, you could make examples for both sides. The Chiefs Brett Veach is masterful considering how much they've paid, you know, certain positions on that team. So, you know, I think both teams, you're here because of your team construction, your roster construction. You're not here by accident. You're here because you did a great job in 1 through 53.
We're talking with Cynthia Freuland from the NFL Network. Cynthia, speaking of roster construction, we've talked about, at least DB and I have talked a lot about this with the Chiefs, but the Eagles are kind of in the same ballpark, that the average age of both of their rosters is about 26 years old, which would be in the 5 to 6 range in the league. How scary should that be for the rest of the league, that these two teams are by far already the best teams in the league, and they're also 2 of the youngest teams in the league?
Well, in some ways it's scary. In other ways, you're like, well, that means they've got some people who might be leaving, because if you think about it, the 5th-year option isn't available for everyone. That, you know, only first rounders get that 5th-year option, and it's almost impossible to pay everyone. I mean, just ask L'Jarius Sneed. I'm sure he wishes he were playing, and I'm sure the Chiefs wish they could have kept him. You know, Charvarius Ward. Like, I can name a bunch of players who are great on other teams because they had this foundation with the Chiefs. But So in some ways it could be scary, but in other ways, I mean, it's more scary that Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. It's more scary that they're under 30. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is 29 years old, and look at what he's already done. That's terrifying. If I'm in the AFC West.
Cynthia, you said something interesting earlier and I think most people would agree with you. Like, if Mahomes wins this one, he's in a category on his own. When do you think we cross that deal where the number, because we debate this in all other sports, right? There's a couple of famous ones when it comes to titles. Why do you think that it's universally accepted that this puts Mahomes in a land of his own so soon after Brady was done playing with so many rings? Like, why are we willing to overlook, do you think, its totality to give Patrick his own deal?
I mean, I actually think he's already there. I think Patrick's already crossed the threshold. He kind of redefined what we expect of a quarterback. Like, Tom Brady was in his era the best that was doing it. And he also was operating out of the pocket. He was in that era, where I just think we're fully in a different era now. You need a quarterback that's going to be able to run, throw on the run, and of course operate from the pocket. It just doesn't seem like the way that modern football, I mean, in the past 8 years even, is played. Look at why do we like Jaden Daniels so much? Why do we think he's so electric? I mean, the man set records for completion percentage and for how many rushing yards he had in a single season. So, it's rookie record. So that's, to me, I feel like Patrick Mahomes was the turning point where now every quarterback after that needs to have those traits in order to be a guy who really has a chance in the postseason.
Cynthia, it's speaking of Mahomes and Hurts again. It's funny because we brought up a couple times Mahomes' improvisation ability and his ability to run. Is it kind of ironic that even though Hurts is the better runner, we're so focused on Mahomes' ability to hurt people with his legs?
I mean, I think with part of it is that in the regular season, he doesn't run as often. In the postseason, he increases that. Like this year, it's the most dramatic increase we've seen, right? It's 3 times as often as the regular season, but it's always more in the postseason. So I think it's because what you see from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, for that matter, those, improvisational skills, they come out to play in the postseason a little bit more than the regular season. Whereas Jalen Hurts, he's kind of doing it all year long. So it doesn't feel like a change, right? It feels like expected at this point. Cynthia,
when you're talking about like other storylines, there's a couple, at least for me, and maybe this is just like the former player, sentimental guy. I mean, I kind of want D-Hop to win just because the $2.4 million, the just wanting to win. He's been the man. He's been low maintenance versus a guy like, Brandon, who's coming back from the biceps injury early, even though this is his final year, and the mentoring that he's done with this D-line. When you look at subplots, who do you think has the more compelling story to tell?
Well, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is one of my favorite players in the entire league. So it's going to be hard pressed for me to say anything more than him. But I also think I was informed yesterday, one of my friends from the Detroit Free Press has a very cool story about a bunch of former, I don't want to give away his story, but basically a bunch of former O-linemen really helping out all of the guys on the Chiefs O-line with like old playbooks and just trying to like help them navigate the switch on the left side of the line, moving from, obviously, we've seen moving from guard to left tackle. And it's going to be a cool story. And I think that's a great little subplot too, like former players just like helping the O-linemen out. So I think that's kind of sweet as well. But D-Hop, for me, I want the man in the end zone. I want him to, did you hear the story about his dad giving him a mink coat?
Yeah.
And, dear God, how can you not love him? He's just like been through a lot.
Cynthia, one of the storylines that I'm kind of fascinated by is just this whole Eagles dynamic, right? It's not that long ago. It felt like the wheels were falling off last year. Felt like early this year.
Listen to Hurts' press conference 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it felt like Sirianni was going to get fired at any moment early this year. You listen to some of as DB said, some of the clips you hear coming out of the quarterback, and you're like, does anybody like anybody in this organization? Like, is like that storyline of how they went from wheels totally falling off to still not really liking each other, but winning a ton of football games. I'm just fascinated by that entire dynamic.
That feels like, Philadelphia in a nutshell to me. I mean, it's like, we hate each other. Like, I feel like if they don't win, they're going to be like, to Kellen Moore, they're going to be like, good luck with the Saints. Don't fly back on the plane. We'll just leave you here in New Orleans. Like, I feel like they're a crazy bunch, but kind of, I don't know, maybe getting it together has been in an area where, I mean, you saw like Brandon Graham basically like have to pull them back together. And, that veteran presence is huge. So maybe it's worked out. I'm not sure. I mean, if I have to see that stupid Inner Excellence book again, though, I might lose it. But other than that, I think they're working it out. They're working it out.
That wasn't on your Amazon wish list after you saw AJ Brown with it. You're not rocking Inner Excellence.
I'm not gonna lie. I rolled over that whole book thing. That I was like, knock it off.
My problem with that is like there's a lot of like great self-help books like that out there, and I think therapy is wonderful. I think it's great, but like to read it on the sideline just felt like a way to get the, I don't know, after all of those like AJ Brown being unhappy or AJ Brown and like after all those storylines to like accidentally be caught with a book like just felt too rehearsed. I don't know. Maybe I'm
no, listen, and you're pretty diplomatic too, so that's strong because. I 100% agree with you. I rolled my eyes from the get-go.
It's not like AJ Brown,
but I'm like a skeptic tinfoil hat guy too, Cynthia. So that's
not like AJ Brown's been drama-free his whole career either.
Right.
Like
he scores 2 touchdowns and they're dancing, and it's like, is this what you wanted to see? And I was like, you guys, knock it off.
I feel like here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see George Pickens on the beach accidentally get caught reading like my favorite one is Nonviolent Communication, best book ever. He should be reading that on the beach. Like that's what I think. And then I would believe it's real.
Listen,
you know what I mean? Like in your off season, not when a camera's going to be there. Like then I could get down with that.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna swing. Like this is like a slider, Cynthia, that didn't slide. Even I can hit this one. I'm a Steelers guy. I try to be a Pickens guy. You know the book that I want him to read on the beach?
Yes.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Like, start with the basics, George. Start there. Let me jump over to some of the hires and are you worried at all that because history says coordinators being courted for head coaching jobs during the Super Bowl don't win a ton. And I'm not looking at Shanahan and Steichen most recently. The list is longer than that. Are you worried at all about Kellen Moore?
No.
Okay.
I know. No one, it's the Saints job, and I'm saying this with all love because I love my Saints fans, but Saints job is a hard one because their cap situation is very tricky and they have to make some really hard decisions about quarterback and some aging players who are, beloved by the fan base. So that is a hard job with not a lot of, you need to be a real one to take that one at this point. And I think it's just a foregone conclusion. I don't think anything that happened this week changes any. Like I don't think it. I don't think that it's. I think the job process and interview process was over before this week. I just think they can't hire him yet because of the rules. So I don't think. In other words, I don't think he was distracted by trying to interview this week at all.
Cynthia, I've been thinking a lot about kind of paths to victory and what that would look like for each team. For the Eagles, if they end up winning this game, do you think we'll be looking more at Jalen Hurts, who performed really well in the Super Bowl loss a couple years ago, Saquon Barkley, who's been killing it all year, or a third party that maybe a defensive player or someone that has a huge game? Like, have you kind of figured out what you think their path to victory is and what that would look like in terms of who's dominant for them?
I think their easiest path to victory would be if Saquon Barkley could keep ripping off 6-7 yards a clip. Like just something where like it doesn't need to be one explosive play. I think you're always going to kind of have that happening, but I think it can't be Saquon Barkley averaging 7 yards per play. Otherwise, your defense will just get worn down. The clock will get worn down. Everyone will get tired. That's where they'd have the biggest problem. However, if I were not an NFL employee and I thought of a fun thing to bet on. I would say, maybe Jalen Carter to become the, just the 11th defensive player ever to win MVP. I just think the long odds means better return on investment, because if Jalen Carter has the disruptive kind of game where he could certainly have very easily, that could be a really big path to victory as well. But like I said, the Eagles' easiest path to winning is if Saquon Barkley is just like so freaking consistent with making them, get a new set of downs every time he touches the ball. That's going to be really hard to stop.
I kind of like your defensive thing. The D-line is a safe pick because they're so good. Look at Bond and DeJean. DeJean in the nickel and Bond out in coverage, with maybe making a play or two with how good Kelsey and the Chiefs are with their intermediate passing game. Like, that's a fascinating matchup. And on the heels of that, I'll get you out of here on this, Cynthia.
Yeah.
Do you remember a team with as complete a roster as the Eagles coming across as, in a tight-line game, such an afterthought? As tight as this line is, it still seems like it's almost insurmountable for the Eagles. That's the feel I get nationally.
Well, you mentioned Cooper DeJean and also Quinyon Mitchell, and I think those are two key pieces that are so different from last time to this time that make a huge difference, because I don't know if they know exactly how hard it is to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, because as rookies, they haven't worked their whole career to get here. That this is their first season. Not to say that they're not appreciative of the moment. I just don't know if they realize how hard this is.
That's Cynthia Freuland, NFL Network. Cynthia, we appreciate your time. As always, enjoy the rest of your Super Bowl week and enjoy the game.
You got it. Have a great one, guys. Happy Super Bowl.
Thanks, Cynthia.
That's Cynthia Freuland from the NFL Network.
Thanks. Thanks, Easter Bunny.
You doing all right there?
It was whatever was in my bag.
Yeah, you got to be careful there.
I don't know what it was.
No, I do think the Jalen Carter's a good call out. Defensive lineman is
take Bond or a secondary guy.
I'd have to see what the values are on the.
Well, do your thing.
Well, I'm not going to Google real time. You know how good I am at that.
Underdog fantasy.
So I'll look at underdog.
Higher, lower. Get you some player props.
I'll look at the MVP odds here in a minute. But I do like if you're going for an off-the-radar guy, although I think Saquon was like plus 280, so you get plus money on Saquon.
The problem with Saquon is that's fine, but how people want to use him in terms of running the ball is not Saquon.
No.
He's not a ball control guy.
No. He's a explosive chunk play.
So you bet maybe you run Hurts 12, 14 times and Gainwell and some of those guys to
be the ball control.
Yeah, and
then let Saquon do what Saquon does, which is chunk people to death.
Yeah, giving the ball to Saquon is like throwing the ball vertically downfield.
Basically, that's what you're hoping for.
Are you surprised, or do you agree that people are so quick to put Mahomes in his own deal?
We can talk about that, because
I felt like it feels a little fast.
We can talk about that, because I think you're also right that the number of championships don't matter to us with Mahomes versus Brady as they do with like LeBron versus Jordan.
Well, it's weird.
We can talk about that here in just a minute when we're coming back on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio, here on the Pillar Exterior stage. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, and we're talking about some Super Bowl MVP odds.
Yeah.
Because I think there's some interesting numbers out here. And I asked you the question off air, and you're like, whoa. Save it for the show.
Well, I got strong opinions.
All right.
Because I hate the whole narrative of the Saquon Barkley ball control thing.
Sure.
Like, that's not going to be a thing.
That's generally not what he does.
And even Cynthia, when she was like, well, I mean, 6 or 7 yards a carry. I mean, sure, that may be what his average comes out to, but it's not like
he's
you're
going to
7
yards every carry.
Yeah, 6 yards and then, slide down.
It's going to be 60 and then 2.
Yeah. Right?
And then 15 and then -2. He's a chunk guy.
So I don't know I think if you're going to control the ball,
might have to be with Hurts.
It's either Hurts or sprinkling in Gainwell with some zone read type stuff where you're willing to. And it's not that we'll give it to Gainwell, we'll only get 4 yards. It's just you're less apt to go 50.
And there's some times where you do need the ball control, right?
Yeah, I think if you're, and I think if you're looking for a probable off the grid offensive MVP that's going to matter in wins and losses, like whether the Eagles win or lose, You're looking at a Goddard, a Devontae Smith, because the Chiefs secondary, it's not going to be your number one probably. It's going to be your 2.
So probably not A.J. Brown.
Or 3. I don't like the reason I don't like A.J. Brown against these guys is because they play physical too.
Yeah. So here's my question though.
You need a guy that can get off, like can move in space against the Chiefs. Watch them play; they're physical.
Because I asked, okay, if you like the Eagles to win, I was like, you might as well just put the plus money on either Saquon or Jalen Hurts to win MVP.
Yeah, because it's most likely.
It's the most likely, and you get good plus money on it. Right now, Saquon is 2.5 to 1. He's plus 250. Jalen Hurts almost 4 to 1. He's plus 370.
You realize anybody to win the MVP is good money because it's all plus.
Yeah, it's all plus money, right?
I mean, Mahomes is plus 120.
But if you're rather than taking small plus money on the Eagles money line, I would go, okay, maybe I just sprinkle a little bit on Barkley, sprinkle a little bit on Hurts, because I agree that it might be a down-the-line guy in terms of either Devontae Smith or Dallas Goedert, but my problem with pass catchers is those numbers go to the quarterback too.
Yeah, except for a guy like Devontae or Goddard can run after the catch.
Sure. And they would have to in order for people to think more of them than they do Jalen Hurts.
And they make tough catches.
The problem is Jalen Hurts likely is also going to have some nice rushing yard numbers.
So normally I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Like if it was Montana or Brady, I would agree with you. A quarterback that is historically accurate, that throws pretty balls.
Sure.
Jalen Hurts running after the catch balls sometimes aren't.
Feels more like the receiver's doing the work.
Yeah, Devontae Smith makes a high degree of difficulty of some of his catches. So I could see that. And Goddard's going to be an intermediate guy.
My thought is whatever you lose from Jalen Hurts throwing a really pretty football to some of these, you're going to probably get back with him having some dynamic running plays.
Let me ask you something.
That are going to stick out in your mind. Because that's what we're talking about with MVP, right? It's what sticks out in your mind about the game.
Okay. I think there's been 5... This is like current era. So since 2000, I think there's been 5 wide receivers win MVP.
Okay, I'm looking up the MVP list right now.
No. Don't look.
I haven't looked yet.
Because I think I know.
Okay.
Who are they? I know 4 for sure.
Since 2000?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
There's 4, and it's accounted for by 2 teams.
Okay. I'm assuming one of them's a Patriot.
Correct.
Did Edelman get one?
Correct.
Okay.
One you will not get.
For the Patriots?
Yes.
Yeah, probably not. I always think...
I think he played his college ball at Louisville.
I always think that
little guy,
that James White got one and he didn't, even though he had the big game in Atlanta.
Little guy,
Louisville. What year are we talking here?
That I'm not good at.
Is that an early one?
Yep. Yep. He's been retired the longest of the aforementioned.
That's not like the David Givens, is it?
It is. His first name starts with a D.
I don't have that.
Deion Branch.
Oh yeah, duh. Okay, yeah.
Now, how would I know the other 2?
Steelers.
Correct.
So, Plaxico?
No.
Santonio?
Correct.
And
you asked me if I liked him, and I said no because of his recruiting. Does it?
Oh, Hines Ward.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, I think the other is a Patriot as well.
Who would the third one be?
Branch. This is good for me, too.
Edelman.
Holmes.
Ward. We're looking here.
Give it to me. I don't know, Bo.
Deion Branch and Hines Ward won them in back-to-back years.
Yep.
Santonio Holmes.
Edelman's got one.
Back in the day.
Julian Edelman got... Oh, it's not the Patriots. You should know this one. You should know this. It's recent. Very recent. Favorite team of one of our former colleagues, although you never worked with him directly. A guy we both like, though. Might have a little bit of a hoarse voice this morning. It's
Oh, I know.
Who?
Cooper Kupp.
Yep. I was gonna say currently on the trading block.
the horse voice got me, Bishop.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp. He's number 5.
So it doesn't happen often.
No, it doesn't. But a lot more frequently than another position. Can you give me
running backs?
The last running back that won the Super Bowl MVP? It's a while ago.
Huh.
And even in the running back era, there's not that many. Like there is, I'm trying to.
I'm mad now.
The
last running back to win Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah. I'm going to count here. It might be fewer running backs than defensive players that have won an MVP.
You're mad.
There's been 10 defensive MVPs, right?
Yeah.
Fewer than 10?
Yes. Significantly fewer than 10.
No love for the running backs.
Significantly fewer than 10. If I can count, which is not a given, but I'm pretty sure. I've got 7.
4, 6, 8, 12.
I've got 7 running backs.
I hate this because I love these games, but I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. I'm going to give you the year's probably too easy, but I'll give you the year.
Okay.
1998.
Terrell Davis.
Yeah. It's been 27 years.
I should have known that.
Terrell Davis. Before that, it was your favorite running back of all time. Tongue in cheek.
Yeah. So somebody I hate.
Yeah.
I don't know who is
Emmitt Smith.
Oh, God.
So Emmitt Smith.
He gave that trophy to his offensive line. I shouldn't hate on him. You know what? That take is not going to age well, but I do think he's overvalued his place in history historically.
I agree.
He was a good player,
especially real time.
He's a good player. He's just overvalued.
Real time, I think he was significantly overvalued. I do think it's come back to earth a little bit, but before that, it was Otis Anderson. Like it's not a great list.
So that was like 91.
That was 91. Good call.
Timmy Smith won one.
What year?
Didn't Tim Smith win one for the Redskins?
That would have been like 88.
Ripken got it?
Ripken and Doug Williams.
Oh, Mark Rippon.
Yeah. The next one is, you like this guy, I think, a lot.
Ooh.
You USC guy.
That was 83.
Marcus Allen.
You know what? I never liked Marcus.
Oh, really? I thought you liked him.
I never liked watching his running style, but I do
Too
think,
upright?
So for me, Marcus Allen is the opposite of the Emmitt Smith. Marcus Allen is significantly better than we remember him. Marcus Allen was incredible. He just did not fit my running
83
style.
Was another running back for Washington.
Riggins.
And then you got to go all the way back. One of your guys, 75.
75?
Mm-hmm. Franco got one.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
74. It's I would call this guy more of a fullback.
Zonka.
And that's it. Those are all the running backs to ever win MVP.
And I slept on Terrell Davis. I can get the old heads.
So the odds are not in your favor, Saquon
We
Barkley.
need to get back to this Brady Mahomes thing.
We've got more coming up. Brian Edwards coming up next on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider, MajorWager.com. What's up, B?
What's up, guys?
There he is.
Brian, how we doing, buddy? How are things?
We are doing great. We're in New Orleans. We were in Biloxi 2 nights ago. The sports.
How was Biloxi?
Biloxi was good. I was at the Beau Rivage. You just kind of knock off like 3.5 hours of the 5-hour drive to New Orleans.
Yeah, and, I've been there. I used to play in the Arena League, and they had the Memphis Showboats.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So I just remember being fond of always seeing grits on the menu as a side.
For sure. Cheese grits.
Grits guy. Yes, sir.
There we go.
All right, so let me ask you something, B. And I know you like the over, right? You're like, so maybe you don't get a kicker, but in a game like this, would you take a flyer on a kicker with all that good plus money for an MVP?
I'm not against taking Butker. I did that with my guy Evan McPherson at like 150-1 with the Bengals and the Rams. When was that? 2021. And if they had gotten another first down and he had made like a 55-yarder to force OT, and then got a game winner in OT, he had already smashed like a 55-yarder earlier that game. I think he might have been in the mix for MVP. So what are Butker's odds? Like 100, 150? Or even better?
I think he's 200.
200 to 1. He's plus 20,000.
I'm not against that. I mean, there are
but in a game there, you like the over. You got to think touchdowns more than field goals, right?
Right, I hear you. But I'm just saying I'm not against anybody taking a flyer on somebody at 200-1 if if there's a game script where it could potentially happen. My game script, you're right, Damon, does not, has touchdowns galore. So, but I get what you're saying. I think I even took Gardner Minshew maybe 2 years ago, thinking Jalen gets hurt and he's a good backup, and I think they could win. Was that 2 years ago? Wasn't he Philly's backup 2 years ago?
Yeah, I believe that's right. Yeah.
So it didn't work out, obviously, but
and everybody loves the storyline too, right? So that's actually kind of a funny play or a fun play. One of the ones that I think people like a lot, and myself included, is it's less plus money, but Saquon Barkley at plus 250, plus 280, depends on where you're looking at. But DB and I were just going through this exercise. There hasn't been a running back win MVP since 1998.
Terrell Davis, Denver, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Well, if there's ever a year for it to happen, maybe it's this year. The thing that would make me a little slightly hesitant on that is just that Jalen gets touchdowns rushing with a tush push when they're close, off of maybe a pass interference in the end zone. In other words, if Barkley's going to get his touchdowns, they're going to have to be runs of 10 or more. Not for sure, but
Probably.
Seems likely with the way they play,
Yeah, let me ask you about and I know you're kind of emphatic, and you were early about getting on the Chiefs, maybe the money line or the points, just because you thought it may get to 2, if anything, before it would come back towards Philly. Do you ever remember a game that was so close like this? And we also think that the Eagles have the slightly better roster, that they're such an afterthought. It's not like this game is 6 or 7 and it's one side. It's
basically a coin flip.
It's a coin flip. Yeah. But nobody, it doesn't appear, especially nationally, that people anybody likes Philadelphia.
Right. Well, maybe I listened to VSiN, which is back on Sirius XM, Musburger's channel out in Vegas. Maybe.
Oh yeah, I'm a big G Unit guy. I like Greg. He's one of my guys.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I listened to a lot of VSiN on the drive over. Going to Biloxi Wednesday and then coming over to New Orleans the rest of the way yesterday. I feel like everybody at VSiN likes the Eagles. So maybe sharp people are liking the Eagles, the public or the national narrative, the Chiefs. But and I do lean Chiefs just because I think we have the head coaching. If it's a toss-up and we have the head coaching advantage and the quarterback advantage, nothing against Jalen Hurts, love Jalen Hurts. But if we have head coaching advantage and QB advantage, I just got to lean KC. But like I've said from the get-go, the over is my favorite play. I really think we're going to have another high-scoring game like the last one.
So, B, I definitely agree with you on the advantages that line up with Kansas City, and I don't really know anybody that would disagree. My question that I keep coming back to is, does Kansas City have any deficits that are large enough for the Eagles to make it up? Like, is their offensive line enough worse than Philadelphia's defensive line to make that up? Is their secondary enough worse than their wide receivers to make up the gaps that we all agree are there at head coach?
I think you got to put Connor Reed. I think you got to put their safeties in conflict.
Well, I was just going to say, and it's nothing against the specific matchup of Philadelphia's run game against KC. It's nothing against Kansas City's defense or D-line, but I just think the Saquon just alpha dog factor that they have with the running game that Kansas City, Pacheco is good, but I just don't, I don't see a Kansas City running back having 150 or 200 yards this game. And I'm not saying for sure that Saquon does that, but I think there's a very decent chance that he has a huge game like that. And I think that maybe is the one factor that maybe could put Philly over the hump.
I'll tell you this. If I was going to take a flyer on a running back, it would be Kareem Hunt because he's Mr. Ball Control. That guy quietly manipulates games for the Chiefs. It's incredible how he'll go for 4.5 or fall forward on a critical deal, and it's like that guy dang Hunt. He's like 1,000 years old. He's running it back for the Chiefs. He's been really, really good for them quietly. He's Mr. Ball Control.
Yeah, he is, and but it's just at the end of the day, if the Chiefs have the ball less than a minute and a half left, and it's a one-possession game, you gotta love Kansas City's chances, and it's Mahomes that's going to make that happen. We'll see.
All right, what are we playing, B?
Oh, we're playing the over. And look, I'm not against a little over 54.5 on the alt, where you can get about a plus 190. I like everything over. I like the team totals. I like both teams' team total over 10.5 in the first half. The Eagles have had at least 13 at halftime, and 10 of the last 13. That's discounting the regular season finale, though, when none of the starters played. And then I like Philly to go over their team total of 23.5, and I like that, more so than KC, because KC's 24.5, and obviously 24 being a key number. I like Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown minus 115 is what I saw last night. He has had a touchdown in 10 of the last 13 games he's played in, and that's 16 total touchdowns in those games. And one of the 3 where he did not have a touchdown was the one when he left late first quarter against the Commanders with a concussion. So Jalen anytime touchdown is probably my favorite prop. I also like him over 40.5 rushing yards.
B, as we look through some of these as well, you got the player props out there. One of them that I saw that I kind of like, you went Jalen Hurts rushing yards, 40.5. How do you feel about, I saw a prop for Jalen Hurts rushing attempts at 8.5 plus at plus money. I believe it was just like plus 110. Do you like that play at all? Like, it seems to me if Philly's going to control the ball, control the game with the running game, it's going to be as much on Hurts as it is on Saquon.
Yes, I do like that. He had 10 for only 16 yards the last game, the NFC Championship game, but that was with a dinged up knee. Now having 2 weeks off, you'd think he'd be more apt to run, and he had 10 carries that game. And even though he had the 16 yards, I still, like I was saying a second ago, I still like it over 40.5 because, again, 2 weeks rest for that knee, and I think he'll be much more healthy. So, yeah, I mean, if he got 10 with a dinged up knee, now a little more healthy, over 8.5 at plus money. How good a plus money is that?
I think like plus 110, so not a lot.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, I think you talked me into that one as well.
Hey, listen, what a difference a week makes. We couldn't believe Zhang was only minus 140. She is now officially an underdog.
Right.
100 minus 105. Man, everybody's all in on Suarez.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I love Weili Zhang. And look, I know Suarez.
What do you think happened?
I don't know. I guess everybody is just drinking the Tatiana Kool-Aid, but I mean, it's not like Weili is.
She's very gregarious. Like, I could see her winning over the masses the more you're around her, though.
Right.
She's much more the big personality.
Yeah, no doubt. But I mean, look, Weili has won 4 in a row, and nobody that's not named Rose Namajunas has beaten her since 2013. And nobody in the UFC has ever beaten her except for Thug Rose. So until something changes, give me Weili Zhang.
All right. Hey, so if I was going to put odds, what gets the plus money? Jambalaya, gumbo, po' boys, or etouffee?
Jambalaya.
That's your go-to?
Yes.
Right.
I got to go off the board. Give me some beignets.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
I'm not a sweets guy because I almost threw king cake in there, but you don't strike me as a king cake guy, B.
You know what? I had dessert last night, and I was looking for the king cake. It wasn't on there.
What kind of place in New Orleans you go to?
It was great. Petite Grocery or something like that.
We got.
Hey, those are the spots.
Yeah, it was great.
The little grocery knockoff places. That's where you got to eat.
Don't forget, we've got another Summit League over South Dakota, Denver. You like that one?
Yes, let's. They are 15-3-1 to the over. That's the Coyotes of South Dakota, and it's over 162.5. And just as for your listeners, look at all these Summit League. They play on Thursdays. Look at all their. So many of these Summit League teams have great records to the over, but I'm only doing South Dakota and Denver over 162.5 tonight.
That's our guy, B. Edwards. Enjoy your time in New Orleans. Get some beignets for me, all right?
Thanks, fellas. Y'all have a great weekend.
More Hurrdat Sports Radio with Michael Bruntz coming up next. Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're joined now by Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7. What's up, Bruntz?
Not much. How's it going?
Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
Not bad. What are you guys discussing this morning?
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot. I'm going to get to this choices versus options thing with Coach Bolt here eventually, because that was pretty spirited yesterday. But I want to start with something. We were talking to one of our national NFL folks, Cynthia Freuland, and she's fantastic. But she said something, and I think I've heard Damian Woody kind of allude to it. I've heard some other NFL folks talk about this. I want to know what you think. Why do you think we're so quick to anoint Mahomes in his own category if he wins on Sunday, even though he's still nowhere near or as close as Brady? Like, what do you think happened in the 2 short years that Brady retired, where numbers now or totality in wins,
like he'd still be 3 Super Bowl short?
Hasn't really 4. Brady has 7, right?
Yeah, but tomorrow
would
would be
3.
4.
Oh yeah, that's right. It would be his 4. Like, where we're willing to just overlook that. Do you think
that he's still short?
Yeah. Like I don't think anybody cares. I think we think if he does something that's never been done, it's like, yeah. No, I'm dead. Like, people say it just like freely.
Like,
and
if he gets the 3-peat, it offsets the 3 extra Super Bowls.
I'm like, whoa! Like, Brady did this for.
I got to be careful.
Denver fan.
I got to be careful how I answer this, and whatever neutral answer I offer or try to offer is always going to be tinged with that context of
Here comes the Bronco fan. But
I don't know. I have wondered this. 3 in a row is very it's impressive if it happens. He still should. I've been thinking about this week. Is there an assumption that not that Tom Brady was a system quarterback, but does Belichick get more credit for that than Andy Reid does or would?
So, Bruntz, I think one of the things I've thought of is it feels like we don't really count the first 3 for Brady. We count those for Belichick, and then we count the last 4 for Brady, or both.
Got it. Okay.
That's how I think it is
I don't
sometimes.
know. I don't know.
Because the first couple for sure were very much like, we don't really know what Brady is yet, right?
I think we're pretty casual in saying it too. I'm kind of shocked. It's not even like it's like post free agency or there's no real big era shift happened. Brady just retired 2 years ago.
Yeah, we're not talking about Bradshaw's 4 versus
Montana or something like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, these guys overlap now.
I feel like the Tampa Bay years just never really happened. I mean, I know they won one, but like it feels like they didn't happen, right?
We just erased that one.
It's like Jordan's Washington Wizards years. Like, everybody just kind of glosses over them, except for Brady actually, won something of substance during those.
Wait, so are Brady's Tampa years kind of like the Elijah Wan championships, where we're just like, yeah, but Jordan wasn't playing. That doesn't count.
No, I'm saying like it just. I don't even think about them happening. Like, it's like, oh right, he was with Tampa. But anyways,
it does
I don't know.
It does sort of feel like a fever dream.
Discussion. Yes, it feels that way. I think that people are prisoners to the moment. I think that's what's going on now, and I don't know. I mean, it's an impressive run. Like, as much as I hate to admit it, and giving Kansas City their due, they've been they've been impressive over the stretch. I know they've had some help, but they've been impressive.
So, Bruntz, let me ask you this: if I had to ask you, what position group had more MVPs in the Super Bowl, running back or defensive players? What would your answer be?
Overall?
Yeah, in the history of the Super Bowl.
I would lean running back, but it feels like recently it's been a lot more defensive.
Would you be surprised if I told you in the history of football of the Super Bowl era, only 7 running backs have won Super Bowl MVP as opposed to 10 defensive players?
Wow. And when was the last running back to do it? I'm even trying to think in my head.
That was going to be my next question.
Well, you should know.
Oh, Terrell Davis?
That is correct. 1998, Terrell Davis is the last running back to win a Super Bowl MVP. That's a quarter century ago.
That's wild.
There's no love for the running backs, Bruntz.
Not to turn this into a sporkle here, but who else we got? Did John Riggins, did he win one?
Yes, he won one.
Riggins got one.
No, wait, hang on.
Let's see how many you can get.
Yeah.
Marcus Allen.
He did get one. Nice.
Like, how far back are we going? Like, am I
74?
Yeah. So
Franco Harris.
Correct.
Franco got one. There's one. The year right before Franco is the earliest one.
Okay.
Who was the best team in the early 70s? They still have Champagne, Bruntz.
Oh, did Zonka?
Correct.
Zonka got one.
Wow.
Wow.
Hey, real-time Bruntz excitement is hilarious. And all we got was a wow.
No, in my head I was thinking American Gladiators co-host Larry Zonka won a Super Bowl MVP?
Wow. So disrespectful. So you got 4. You've got I don't know. You've got 5 if you include your guy.
Yeah, I'm done. We can move on. Who else did I miss?
You missed Otis Anderson, 91 with the Giants.
Oh yeah.
One you probably should have gotten was Emmitt Smith with the Cowboys.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yuck.
So only one.
I'll take that.
Only one bad miss there. I'm not going to hold Otis Anderson against you.
Yeah, you probably should. I mean, that's one I should remember. So that's good. I've learned something today. Thanks, guys.
Hey, so Bruntz, and you're the perfect guy to ask, and I love the Caleb Clark text because it kind of sparked the thought the next morning. I was having these conversations in my own head about how cool is it to have options, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh shoot, Coach Boldy could go situational, he could go offense, defense, lefty, righty. He's got a ton of options, and then I was thinking, damn, he better be really good at communicating because you have to be pretty unselfish. And then it morphed into other sports, right? We've seen Coach Hoiberg shift lineups 3 consecutive games. We've seen all the talk about what do you do at the wide receiver spot, or how are you going to whittle down the defensive backs? And so I asked Ravi, I said, would you rather be a coach that has a ton of options, or would you like to see things a little more well-defined? As it relates to this baseball team and they get started next weekend, would you rather have more defined roles, or are you willing with this early season slate, this tough schedule, to let it play out?
Oh, I think with college baseball and pitching, like I hesitate to say like this is what this guy is going to be in the 3rd week of February, because it always feels like by the time like you get to conference play, what you thought it was going to be is not at all what it is. And I think they've got. I would rather have options first off, and it's interesting. I think I talked to Will in November, like post fall and pitching depth, and we're discussing that. And he gave a lot of credit to Rob Childress because basically, his what he told me then was, you have guys that are not, basically what they want their role to be is not probably going to line up with what's best for the team and where they're going to have the most success and individual success too. Like I think there's guys that I think would love to be starting pitchers that maybe are not built for that as it pertains to right now. So I think a lot of that work, and I'm sure it's probably the case for Fred and rotations and that kind of stuff, is you just have to build a culture of guys being unselfish. And I think that has always been one of Rob Childress's strengths, is that he's been able to, within that pitching group, basically say, this is what we need you to do, and also kind of explaining the why, because there's guys that, I mean, Jalen Worthley could for sure be a starter, but is that where he's going to help the team the most? Same with Drew Christo. I mean, I think both of those guys are going to be counted on a ton this year, but I don't know that it necessarily aligns with what their optimum role would be, with what they would want to do versus kind of conflicting with what the team needs them to do.
Go ahead,
Bruntz. To start this deal, you think for you is it sports specific about options or whether they're answers or not, or are you just one of those guys that if you're communicating ahead of time, you always want choice, you always want an option?
Well, I think if you have open communication, I think you take the options. I mean,
gotcha.
I think that's, I think, and I think players now too are you have to explain the why. Like, why is a guy playing in this role versus not? Why is this happening? I think if you can communicate that, and I think also if you're communicating with guys, there's a trust factor there where, guys will understand that you're kind of taking a non-emotional approach to things in some ways. So I don't know. I mean, I think it all kind of goes back to, if you have a good culture, I think you can kind of make changes like that, and guys are generally okay with it, even if they're not okay with it. Eventually they kind of come around to. I mean, John Cook's story about Dave
we used him with options. So
yeah, I mean that's another good example.
Bruntz, speaking of culture and kind of playing around with options, what is the kind of lineup changes and subsequent turning around of the season told you about the Fred culture the culture that Fred Hoiberg's been able to establish in Lincoln, something that seems like we weren't always totally sure about?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like, last year's team, I think, was a little bit, it felt stronger, I guess, the culture. And I don't know. I mean, I think this is kind of an interesting group because, you have a lot of success. You get punched in the face repeatedly for 6 games. You lose games that you shouldn't have lost, and you lose them in bad ways. And you kind of wonder how you kind of come out the other end of that. And I think that was a little bit of a test of kind of what you've got. And, I think it helps too when you have 2 guys like Gary and Williams who, I mean, they take up a lot of oxygen in the room. I mean, they're your guys. I think they've kind of stepped it up a little bit. I think you've seen more guys be a little bit more accepting of their roles and kind of what they are. And I think that's the challenge, I guess, and especially a sport like basketball, where it feels like most years, year to year, you're completely rebuilding your team. I think if there's probably a little bit of a getting to know you period in some ways of like, how are these guys going to react together when, they're completely new, that, Nebraska is Nebraska, but I mean, they've only been here for less than a year. So I think basketball is a sport that's a little bit more challenging from that way. And I think there's also a little bit more of a tendency where if things start going badly, that guys kind of check out a little bit. I mean, I think that's kind of natural. But I think with Fred's team, I've been most impressed with. They've leaned on Gary and Williams, but I think there's been some more acceptance of kind of, guys being the fourth scoring option, or guys having to rebound a little bit more, and maybe guys not playing as much because they're a bad matchup. So whatever happened, before that Illinois game, something happened there to kind of, I think, force that change.
So, it's interesting. We were talking to Nicholas Allen the other day, and he said, guys, you know what? Sometimes I think we overthink this. And he gave us a couple of things. And this third one that he said was, your best players have to be your best players. No coincidence when you're talking about Gary and Bryce with Illinois and Oregon and now Washington. You could make the case that their best players were their best players. And I'll also add the other thing that we said, which was the super low-hanging fruit is, well, they got to shoot it better. And Essegian has answered the dinner bell the last couple of times out, and he's shooting it better. Maybe we just overthought this thing.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, it's, Bryce is definitely playing on another level right now. And that was, you needed to shoot it a little bit better, but I also think you kind of need your best players to kind of drag you along sometimes, and even you saw that last night, when things got a little hairy there in the first half, he elevated his game, a ton in the second half. And I think what maybe is a step forward, and I mean, Washington's not a good team. I mean, let's just say that straight up, but there wasn't panic.
Right.
And the body language was better. I know Fred said on his, post-game radio comments that, they kind of really lit him up in the locker room, and deservedly so. But, there were a lot of reasons why Nebraska could have probably packed it in that game. And, I think a veteran team knows, when you're down double digits at half, those first 4 minutes are so important, and they came out and played like it. So, I mean, maybe that's another kind of sign of maturity for this team that, even though bad things happen, you can still kind of dig your way out. And Bryce was a huge part of that.
Bruntz, it's interesting because you talk about panicking, and I always relate it to, and I said this in the opening segment, I'm like, yeah, they stayed patient. They didn't take bad shots. They kind of, what you just said, they stayed within the text. But conversely, on defense, they didn't foul. When they couldn't get a stop early and shots were going in, it's not like they scrambled and panicked. They stayed the course. They still only had 11 fouls as a team, and Washington only shot 12 free throws. That's pretty good for a team that scored 47 points in the first half. But conversely, you see why they only scored 25 or whatever in the second half. They only went to the line 12 times.
It's kind of easy too. What I just said. It's also easy to say, point at Washington and be like, look, they're going to revert to the mean. You're not going to come out and shoot like that for another 20 minutes, more than likely. So, stay in the fight. But I mean, they didn't foul. They played better defense. They didn't turn the ball over on offense. I think I'm not going to take credit for this, but I think my colleague BC last night tweeted that they only had one turnover last night in the second half, and it was on the late shot clock violation.
Yep.
So, that's a pretty good recipe for winning on the road. And I don't know. I was curious that coming out of half, how they were going to come out of the locker room, what the energy was going to look like, and it felt like Washington was a team that was pretty happy with the way things had gone in the first half, and wasn't ready for that wave in the second half from Nebraska.
We started this whole conversation with you, so we're going to end it with you on player development and who you would take, right? Remember, I tried to talk you into saying Dylan, and of course you kind of did, and then you said, no, you want to be your own guy. You're going to take Emmett. Were you... Are you
going to tell me who to take?
No. I was.
He's going to say no, and then he's going to tell
I was a little concerned that what I was saying about Dylan would not land well with some people that would assume I was saying he wasn't a hard worker. I was like, well, hey, if one of your best players turns out to be this elite level fitness guy and they see him pay a price, and I went through this whole deal for a month. Were you surprised that Coach Rule was so specific on making this what it's going to take to make this Dylan's team if he really wants it to be like that, considering, remember, this offense started last year with them saying, hey, we're going to turn it all over to him and see what happens?
Am I surprised? No, I don't. No, I don't.
I mean, that was pretty specific.
It was. I mean, he was asked specifically. I'm trying to think the way it was asked. He was asked specifically about Dylan, but it was
making it his offense.
I'm going to guess that was not the first time that he had said that. Like that felt like a postseason meeting type thing. Like if you go down a list with somebody of like, these are areas where, you know, you might give a little attention. Like when he was saying that, I was thinking in my head, I was like, oh, you know, I'm sure this has been discussed over in the offices.
Well, shoot, it could have just been the night before because he used the Supernovas game as an example.
Yeah.
Right? Like almost like it irked him, but not, right? It's like, okay, if you're going to be the locker room guy and then this guy and the throw T-shirts out guy and the Supernovas guy, you better be the first one. Or, you know what I mean? Like, it seemed very specific.
Yeah. No, it was. You're right. I mean, it's and I don't think he's wrong. Like I think I think what he said was correct. I mean, it's you don't necessarily get a pass as a freshman, but I think there's kind of a caveat of, oh, well, you know, you're figuring out where you kind of fit on the team and, you know, how loud you can be and what your voice can be. But I mean, it's, you know, you kind of, if you, I think his point, and maybe I don't think I'm missing it, but is if you're going to get all of that stuff, I mean, you gotta be the guy that, you know, kind of leads everybody else too, when it's time to work. So yeah, I when he was saying it, I was like, yeah, that's pretty, that's not something that was just off the cuff was my take.
Yeah,
that's good.
It felt like kind of just a not so gentle reminder to me, like, hey, if you like all the things that this life provides, you better still be good at this life.
Yeah,
I heard, and I'm telling you, first time around, and I'm gonna defer. I have this random partner that brought it back to my attention, that made it a good point. I missed it the first time. So when I went back and listened, I actually like had my skirt and pom-poms on. I was like, yeah, like with great power comes great responsibility. And if you can do this, this is next level. But deeper than that, Bruntz, I think it's because it's exactly how Coach Rule is. He may come across as being like at the Waste Management or being at this event or this concert, but you best believe that dude is the first one in his office every morning.
Right. No, I think that's true. And I think it's, you know, I think it's, you know, specifically with Dylan, I mean, it's you know, there's a lot going into this year, and I mean, they've made no, when they compliment him for, you know, knowing all the answers in the film room and everything else. I mean, if you're that far along and you're ahead of your peers in terms of your understanding and, you know, what you are as a player, I mean, I think that's also kind of an open invitation to be pushed a little bit harder in other ways too. You know what I mean?
That's our guy, Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7. Bruntz, we appreciate the time as always. And I know it's the Chiefs, but I hope you enjoy the Super Bowl anyway this weekend. All right.
Hey, can you say? Yeah, I was gonna say. He's like, "Fly, Eagles, fly."
All right, we'll pepper you with some more Super Bowl trivia next time. All right.
I look forward to it. Thanks, guys.
All right, Bruntz. We'll talk to you later.
Well, man said, wow.
Go Birds.
He was learning on the fly as we were.
I appreciate the Go Birds. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. It's time for Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook, the best place in Nebraska to place your sports bets. Make sure to get the casino in Lincoln or in Omaha, or check out warhorsecasino.com for more info. DB, we got a DM.
Yes.
In our Twitter machine.
Are you mad or happy?
I'm not mad, but I think we need to give context here. I think this might be
Is this my man, LC?
This is our guy, Logan, here. He
Okay.
says he did some research and thought this was pretty incredible, especially considering he joined the team with no real plan of ever playing real minutes. Since Sam Hoiberg started playing regular minutes.
You got to slow down so we can digest it.
Okay. Well, that was the intro. When I get to the numbers, I'll slow down. Okay. Since Sam Hoiberg started playing regular minutes his freshman year against Northwestern, there have been 53 games against major conference teams. Nebraska is 10-17 when he plays under 21 minutes and 18-8 when he plays 21 minutes or more. They're also 4-0 when he plays more than 30 minutes. Then he goes on to say maybe Hoiberg could have been helpful in the stretch of USC, Maryland, Rutgers, where they lost all three of those games by a grand total of, I believe, 11 points, and he played 14, 16, and 17 minutes, respectively.
All right.
Now, can two things be true at the same time? That I think Sam Hoiberg's a good ball player that brings something of value to Nebraska, and also think that stat needs a little context. Okay? Because I'm having a little bit of trouble here because you can come up with stats like this. Now, 20 minutes is a significant number.
Okay. So we agree on that.
Yes.
Right? We're not talking about like
five. Like anytime this guy plays.
And the other thing before I let you get going, it's a substantial amount of games.
It is. It's a good sample size both in minutes and games.
Okay.
I'm acknowledging that.
So we agree the sample size isn't.
I think it's representative.
Okay.
And I think Sam Hoiberg's good, and it brings value to Nebraska. I think the stat is somewhat skewed because when they are ahead and winning, then he usually finishes out games when there might be a rotation in place otherwise. We see that with a lot of teams.
I kind of disagree.
That's fine. Well, we've seen that with Zugic too.
Yeah, but he's no worse than the second guy coming off the bench ever.
I understand that. I get that he's not buried. But when you're bringing guys in and you're ahead and you're winning games, you tend to just leave in some of the guys that are on the bench. That's how rotations work in basketball when you're just riding it out to the end and you're already winning. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that they're not better with him on the floor. I do think those stats are going to be a little skewed, much like my Mason Miller plus minus.
So the Mason Miller plus minus is a much smaller sample size.
It is.
And I still think it's legit.
I don't at all. I think it's so dumb. I don't think you're dumb. I think the Mason Miller.
No, I don't take offense
plus
to that.
minus thing is a dumb argument.
Because I kind of think you're on an island. I think you're more Gilligan than not here.
I prefer Revis, but that's fine.
Man, he was a goat. I cannot give you Revis. I'm gonna go with Gilligan.
Is it because of the boat shoes?
Well, he kind of stumbled over himself, but arrived at the point. You give me Gilligan vibes.
Don't appreciate that. You just fall ass backwards into things, Ravi, but it tends to work out for you. So no offense.
Well, sometimes to get Gilligan's point, you had to kind of like squint and kind of tilt your head. That's kind of how I feel. I think I'm riding with Logan here, and it's not because I like Hoiberg. It's because
I do like Hoiberg, by the way.
It's because I try to watch these things in its totality. Mm-hmm. How's he being guarded? When does he make? It's like he hit the three from the corner in Eugene the other night, mm-hmm. and it was a run. It quelled a mini surge.
He has a tendency to make big plays.
Yeah,
he does.
I said unsolicited and I didn't know this was going to come up because this was in the open. I was like, the little and one that he got when he finished on the other side.
Big play.
It seemed like it only cut it to 11,
but it was a big play.
But it kept it from getting to 17.
Yeah,
right, or 16 or whatever.
I'd like to reiterate, I like Hoiberg, and I think he makes them better.
So I'm not gonna dig into the nitty gritty of situational game entries because we've already agreed that once you get to 20 minutes, mm-hmm. and it doesn't even take that many, that is a substantial amount of game time.
But here's where my argument is, right? Are you telling me that if he had played 3 more minutes against Rutgers, they win that game?
Well,
that's my question.
I don't know why you think that is so far-fetched because when Nebraska cut it to 2, and Rutgers stretched it, and you're like, oh, they're not getting. Same thing they did against USC.
No, that's fine. I'm asking.
So 3 minutes. So yeah, the answer is yes.
Okay, I'm legitimately asking.
The answer is I think 3 minutes can be critical. I think I don't know about those.
That's specific. Yeah.
Yeah, but like if you tell me 3 minutes.
So if you're taking, I'm legitimately asking.
I say yes. I say 3 minutes matters.
If he's getting 17 minutes a game and you bump that to 20 or 21, we think that flips some of these games that they lost.
Yeah, because I think situationally it's critical. And plus, here's the other thing that
I'll hear it out because I don't love some of their other options.
The other thing that I think is pretty undersold
yeah.
is he's a quarterback out there.
Sure.
Because I mean, he skipped a rotation on a scramble yesterday by 2 guys to cover a 3.
Mm-hmm. He's unbelievably.
He didn't go to the next pass. He skipped it. Yeah. He anticipated leaving the next closest to me shooter to get to the make one more guy. And he went to the make one more guy, and it was Diallo, and he hoisted a line drive clanger, right? Like I saw that. So
no, I get that.
I don't undersell those kinds of things.
And that's totally fair. I'm legitimately asking because in these examples that Logan gave us, and we appreciate the research.
I mean, it's pretty chunky.
Are we
You're talking about 9-10 minutes.
You think if he plays 4 more minutes a game, they flip some of those 6-game losing streaks?
It just depends on what's happening if he's on the floor within the. So I think you're looking at it wrong.
Okay.
I think if he's on the floor and the total gets bumped up, could the outcome be different? Yeah. But if it's, hey, magically getting to 4 more minutes to up the average, I don't know. If he's on the floor for 3 more minutes and they're on the struggle bus situationally in a game, yeah, I think that's going to help. But no, I can't definitively say if you bump that. I mean, because you're minimizing the data just in asking the question. So if he plays just 4 more.
No, I'm asking.
I would say to you, I would look at it another way. If he's on the court more to up the average, is there the potential that you could get a different outcome? Absolutely.
So let me ask it this way. So he's averaging on the dot 21.1 minutes per game this season.
It's a great number.
21.1.
Great number.
Is it possible that Nebraska at 14-8, what's the winning percentage? They're 18-8 over the course of that time when he plays 21 minutes a game?
Yeah.
They're 14-8 now. Like, that's a better winning percentage, but that's not crazy different than their overall winning percentage.
No, but it begs the question, if he plays more in games where they had different outcomes, what would happen? And I think that's the point of the exercise.
Right, and that's what I'm asking. Like, is 3 to 4 minutes a game?
At least as I took.
No, I agree. I think that's the point of the exercise. And what I boil that down to basically is, okay, if he's averaging 21 minutes a game overall, is that a result of he plays 25 minutes a game against some of the non-con opponents that they're going to win those games anyway? Well, that's what I'm asking, though, because if he's at 21 and I'm looking at some of the...
I don't love the lowest common denominator thing, like going to the non-con. Like, let's just stay right where we are.
I know, but when he said major conference games, so I'll take that out.
Okay.
My apologies. He said major conference games. Okay.
Good.
So I mean, their last 5, he's gone 33, 37, 35, 29. They've won 3 of those 4. The only loss was the obliteration at the hands of Wisconsin. And then he was 14 before that at USC.
And the strategic error
against USC.
There, you could make the case. Wait, did he start against Wisconsin?
I believe so. I believe that was one of the games he started.
Because I did not enjoy rolling the same starting lineup out in the second half that you did the first half when you didn't make any hay until you substituted to start the game.
Yeah.
I didn't know why you would roll the same starting 5 back out there. But I can't remember if Sam I Am started.
I believe he did. I believe that was a Sam Andrew Morgan game. I think.
Yeah. Big Morgan guy too. Big Morgan.
I'm hit and miss on him. You have any plays for tonight?
Yeah, I don't want to rush because we have to walk through those.
Okay, we'll continue bet on it next. That's a little bonus segment for you. We'll get to DB's locks for Thursday. Tomorrow, We'll get to some of our Super Bowl picks as well.
Ooh,
you got a little
chunky.
You got a little taste with B. Edwards earlier.
Chunky.
That's Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. Wrapping up the show here on a Thursday, Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, and we're presented by our friends at Centris Federal Credit Union. You smell that, DB? That might be new car smell.
Oh,
if you're in the market.
Hey, Lord knows I need one.
Centris Federal Credit Union could help with auto loans that get you in the driver's seat and get you that new car smell. Voted best in Omaha.
Smells delish.
For auto financing, their team is your financial companion throughout your car buying journey. So get on the road by visiting Centris online at centrisfcu.org, federally insured by NCUA.
Highway run.
DB.
That's a Journey.
You big Journey guy?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Big Don't Stop Believing guy, or like their other stuff?
No, didn't like that
More
song.
of a deep cut guy?
If I'm gonna go all
B-sides? Forever Young.
If I'm gonna go that
genre?
Yes.
Like Will in the Sky?
I'm probably gonna lean more towards the ballads than the heavy stuff.
I wouldn't say Don't Stop Believing's heavy.
Well, tempo.
Oh, a little quicker.
Yeah.
That's Phil Collins. You were just doing In the Air tonight.
And I only like that song up until the slow parts.
Yeah.
Or with the slow parts.
Yeah.
You know, the drums and all that is cool, but that's not what makes me like that song. I like the ramp up.
Is Wheel in the Sky Journey?
Have I heard that song?
The Wheel in the Sky keeps on turning.
Oh yeah. Yeah, see that's not my
that's not your thing, but that's just one of their songs.
Is it Forever Young's them, isn't it? Shane?
There's
no, that's Rod Stewart.
The Forever Young I think
Rod
of
Stewart.
is Forever Young.
That's Rod Stewart. Yeah, there's a remix too. Anyway,
that's not Journey.
No, that's Rod Stewart. That's
I don't like Journey like that.
You a big Rod Stewart guy though?
No.
Seems like it. You like the haircut, the whole thing? No?
No.
Seems like your jam. Wake up, Maggie. No?
Is that him?
Maggie May?
Yeah, I don't like that song either.
That seems like your jam.
That's a lie.
Wake up, DB. I think I've got something to say to you.
Are you one of those guys that's already preemptively hating the Super Bowl halftime performance?
No, I'm not like that.
Oh.
I try and enjoy the things in my life, DB. I'm not one of those people. You know, Shane will appreciate this. You won't really get it, but that's okay.
Oh, this ought to be good.
Well, he's a big Star Wars guy.
Yes.
And you're not really.
No.
So,
but I don't hate on Star Wars. I just don't.
That's fair. But a lot of Star Wars fans, it seems like they exist only to hate the new things that Star Wars does all the time.
Yeah.
I just like being around. Like, I just like being in the world. I like the new stuff, you know? Is it as good as the old stuff? No. But I'm not going to be miserable and be like,
Ravi here for Phantom Menace.
I just had that conversation with a neighbor the other day. They were like, I don't get the new ones. They're too long. I don't know who the characters are. They kill off all the old characters. I'm like, just relax.
It's because Harrison Ford's like 90. You want him to stick around for another trilogy?
Yeah, and how is he the Red Hulk?
I don't know, man. That one's I don't know.
CG.
I don't know how many movies they got him signed on for, but
get him about.
I don't know if the contract is going to expire before he does or not. But the thing that I have an issue with is people that just kind of exist to hate things, right? It's like you say you're a fan of this franchise.
It's a lot of those people.
You say you're a fan of Star Wars, but you sit here like, let's not pretend like the writing and acting was stellar in the original trilogy, right? Like it's kind of cheesy, it's kind of campy, but we love it. But when it's new cheesy and campy, we're like, this is terrible. Yeah. Dumb. Like Rocky won Best Picture. It's a cheesy movie. I love it. I love the franchise. But those are cheesy movies. And then you get to Creed 2 and people are like, it's too cheesy. It's like, I get that it won Best Picture in 77 or whenever it was. But like, let's not pretend
You've
like
given this a lot of thought.
Oh, a lot of thought. People that just hate the things that they claim to love drives me crazy.
Yeah. Not a big hater guy.
But if you hate it and quit supporting it, then it's just going to go away. It's just going to go.
And then they're going to complain. How come?
Why has there been a new Star Wars movie for like 7 years? I don't understand.
Yeah, Disney just shuttered the whole franchise. It's like, what? Okay, so what do you want? Do you want new stuff? You don't want new stuff? You want new stuff, but then you want to hate it? What are we doing?
I want Myles Garrett to go to the NFC.
I would love. Hey, 49ers will take him. Let's go.
No, go to someplace like Atlanta.
No, come to the 49ers.
Well, Atlanta needs him. Like, go to someplace like Atlanta.
I need him.
Go to someplace.
Give me Myles Garrett and Cooper Kupp. Give me both of them. I want both.
Big Cooper Kupp guy?
I think he'd be good. I think he'd be a good compliment to Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Kind of that timing, precision passing game. It'd be nice to have. Especially because
how about Kupp saying, yeah, they're trying to trade me? Makes you feel bad. Rams actively trying to trade me.
Wait, does it make you feel better or worse than Luka closing on a house in Dallas last week?
It was only $12 million. Imagine
it's
being
like 15.
Imagine being AD with his was in Bel Air. It was like 25.
I know, but okay, here's the thing.
And he just got his.
Maybe
he can go there on vacation.
I have this thing about people who buy real estate in weird places. Like Matthew Stafford, I think, is still trying to sell his home in Detroit because it's like a $6 million home in Detroit.
Nelly just had to leave his mansion.
That's what I mean.
He just nobody ever bought it.
You can't build multi-million dollar houses in certain places because nobody's like, what's the market to sell that thing?
No.
Right? In LA, somebody can buy a $25 million mansion.
1/100th of 1/10%.
Like Dallas, you might be able to find some guy with oil money to buy Luka's mansion, right? Like that's cool. But if you're in Detroit and St. Louis, like maybe we chill, like maybe we rent, Renting is a good option. Maybe we get something in the $1 million range so we don't price ourselves out of the market. Yes. I know it seems like a good idea at the time.
I don't know if you know this, but renting is risky. The Fed said they will not be swayed by impulsive people, and they do not listen to the government. I just telling you what my man said.
I'm just saying, like maybe don't build a house in Detroit that's 8 times more expensive than any other house in Detroit.
I don't know. With $7 eggs, I'm not afforded the luxury of thinking about $15 mansions.
$15 mansion, that'd be a hell of a deal.
$15 million.
Oh, you mansions. Forgot that part. I'd buy a $15 million mansion, although I would worry about the structural integrity. Is it made out of paper mache? DB.
What do you want?
So Nebraska's got a really interesting stretch coming up here in basketball.
Let me give you these plays here real quick.
All right.
I'm going back to William and Margaret. Again, William and Mary team that I know really well.
You're a big Bill and Mary guy.
Yep. I'm going to take Drexel at home. Lay the 2.
You're hammering the CAA.
Yep, back at it. Big Drexel guy. And here's the thing about this other game.
Is that because like some of their affiliations or no?
Gotta go with no.
With Colonial? You're not a big Colonial guy? I thought you were a big Colonial Athletic Conference guy.
Coastal Athletic, thank you.
I thought it was
Coastal. It's Coastal Atlantic.
Coastal Atlantic. Isn't there a Colonial League too?
Yeah, but that's
a different one.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
I'm going to Drexel.
CAA is also an agency.
Hello, friend.
Creative Artists Agency, I believe is what it stands
for. I'm going to 2 teams I know extremely.
So you're going Drexel?
Yes, and 2 teams I know extremely well.
Drexel, 2.5-point favorite.
Maryland.
Maryland, not William and Mary.
With my man, Jacoby Gillespie. I'm going against the Turtles.
Oh, you like OSU minus 2.5.
I'm going to take the Buckeyes.
Okay.
I like the Buckeyes. I like them better
Big
on the
Diebler
money
guy,
line.
huh?
I like Ohio State in the spot.
Ohio State?
Desperate, must win.
Minus 2.5.
And Maryland is really good. Don't get me wrong. They've been a little shaky on the road. They're better as of late, but give me the Buckeyes.
I can tell you're not Catholic.
No, I'm not.
You're going against Mary, against William and Mary. You're going against Maryland.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you had such a problem with Catholics. It's weird.
Ridiculous.
I mean, it's about to be Easter. That's a little offensive. I don't know why you're doing that. A lot of fine people are Catholic, Stevie. I don't know why you got to isolate them that way.
Ravi here for continuing to
what?
Put words in my mouth.
No, I would never.
I almost said put things in my mouth, but I have to be specific because you're a 4-year-old.
What am I doing? I'm just sitting here.
He thought that was funny.
Hanging out. Stephen A. Why is Cam Newton dressed up like Willy Wonka?
Oh my God.
What's happening here? He's kind of doing the faces too, like he's doing a whole little dance up there. What are we doing?
Nothing.
Dancing like Rod Stewart or something. I mean, does that come all the way back around?
It does. I expect him to come rolling out of the gates of a chocolate factory and just being like, "Hello, kids. I hope you don't die in the chocolate river."
I am surprised they got Joe Burrow to come on.
Why is that?
He's not really.
He's not out there a lot.
He's not a public out there give my hot take opinion guy.
Certainly not as out there as Cam Newton.
Big Joe Burrow guy.
I love Joe Burrow.
Me too.
Big Joe Burrow guy. All right, I wanted to get to Nebraska's upcoming schedule here for
Do you want me to nail it again?
No,
because I'm well on my way to being right.
Yes, you are. You've got 3 of the 9 you need,
and I had them at 8.
3 of the 8 you need. 3 of the 8 you need.
There you go. Trying to put.
You had them at 8 and 3.
Yes.
You've got 3 of them. You need 5 left.
Yes.
Here's my question. I don't know if it's a question, but it's an interesting little schedule quirk coming up here. According to Ken Pom, my fave, Kenneth Pomeroy, their next 5 games.
Yes.
Here's what the predicted final score margin is. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1.
I believe it, because 2 of those are Ohio State.
So you have Ohio State, Maryland, Northwestern, Penn State, and Michigan.
How is Penn State and Northwestern 1 or 2?
They're away games. They're on the road.
I hope Penn State has quit.
Oh, you think like they're packed it in?
They're reeling.
Yeah.
Well, they just got hammered at the house the other night.
Yeah. I mean, that's entirely possible, but it's because they're on the road. But that is the next 5 games for Nebraska. They're literal coin flips. That is as coin flippy as you can get.
Maryland's at the house.
That's the only one they're technically favored to win. The rest are the other way, but they're coin flips, so it doesn't. I mean, they're all 45.
So the rest of the free world gets to see my man Gillespie.
Yeah,
he's tough.
You love Gillespie.
I do.
Almost as much as you love Kevin Willard. Kevin Willard guy.
Just a lot of not telling the truth this segment.
You love Kevin Willard. I mean, who do you think brought Gillespie there?
I don't love much of anything.
It's the transitive property.
Including you.
So it's in math, the transitive. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Radio. We'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the week.